This is your apartment.
My old apartment. That was a lounge chair that was on Price is Right.
What?
Yeah, my brother-in-law had a company that made like hypoallergenic or like good for your back stuff, and you have to give Price is Right stuff to have it on there.
Yeah.
And they go, you can get it back,
Okay.
but you have to come pick it up yourself. That's Price is Right's rule. So I got Sean Halpin had a pickup truck, and he goes, yeah, I'll go. So we went and picked it up from Price is Right and got it back. It had a cooler in the side. It was the most expensive thing I had in my life. It was the nicest thing I've ever had.
Wait, how did you get it? You won in Prices, right?
No.
Oh.
They're done with it. They're like, you can get it back. We're not shipping it. Okay. We'll use it as a prize. If they get it, they get it. If not, you can come get it back. So he was like, all right, go get it. It had a cooler in the side for beers and stuff. It was the nicest thing in my apartment. I had those couches from Mitzi, but those are from like the 40s.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what you're sitting on. I told the fix-it guy to get it. I broke in later, and he didn't get it.
Where you been and where you going? This is Ari's travel show, yeah. We're gonna talk about travel today. It's You Be Trippin, yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to You Be Trippin. It's a travel podcast. Every week I have a guest that takes us to another place in the world that they've been. It's not a travel blog. It's experiential, so everybody's trip to a place is different. And it's the only podcast in the world that accepts both brunettes, blondes, and now gingers also.
No.
It's red.
It's blonde, dude. Come on.
Take it off again. Bro. Sometimes I think I'm joking, but then sometimes I see it. I'm like, that's red. Paul Morrissey is today's guest. Everybody give a round of applause.
Hello, everybody.
Now, here's why Paul's important. Because Paul is a very influential man on my travels. Sometimes I have people on this podcast, and I go, sometimes after the podcast, sometimes before, I'm like, you'll be on here a bunch. Tom Rhodes has not been on yet. He's going to be on here a bunch. Yoshi is going to be on a bunch.
Right.
He was on one. His hasn't come out yet. But we got to talk about this deal we made in Switzerland. Well, where do you want to go first, or do you want to decide later?
Well, I'll write this is also on your thing. Where is it? No, there was like a post that you made about how you started traveling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so that's your list. I think it was during the pandemic you got sentimental.
2014. Yeah, I got sentimental. China, Denmark, Germany. 2015. Thailand, the UK. I'll count Scotland once it's a free country inside the next 4 years. Well, I was wrong, but it's close. Norway, Iceland, Sweden. 2017. Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, East Timor, Costa Rica. 2018. Austria, Croatia, Ireland, Belgium, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey. 2020. Spain, Colombia. Current country, I don't feel like mentioning it. I was in Ecuador. I didn't want people to know I was there. I didn't want them to give me tips so I'd be following their footsteps. Whew.
So then look at the last thing. Says thanks.
But this feels like, listen, underrated. Okay. The last sentence. Wait, those are in addition to the countries I got to revisit over that time. Canada, Mexico, Australia, Israel, Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, Germany, the UK, Denmark, Thailand, Ireland, and even Switzerland and the Netherlands again. Sadly, it looks like the country I'm in now will be the only new country I get this year. There's an off chance I could try to make a border run Ecuador. Border run next week just for an overnight trip, but that feels like cheating. That's why I never counted Belgium. I was only there for like a layover. And at least I got one. And that's an understandable footnote in what will hopefully be many more years of travel. Thanks, Paul. That Switzerland-Amsterdam trip was the fucking best. From that bread filled with melted cheese, raclette, Lake Montreux, and Glühwein, to the coffee shops, sex windows, that place with the awesome grilled cheese sandwich. Yes, it sucks now. House of Bols and Frank House, Heineken Factory, and Museum of Torture. I loved it all the way. We got to do that motorcycle trip up in Vietnam and make our way into Laos. So it must be missing the top part where I say why.
I don't know. I only saw that part.
The point is, what we made this trip when we went to Switzerland is we made a deal.
Right.
We went from Switzerland. We were already there. And every comic, I'll give this advice to, if they fly you out somewhere, you can ask them to fly you back from somewhere else.
Right.
They don't care. I told this to Tony once. I told this to lots of people. Like, I told this just to Jet Ski Johnson recently. I'm like, tell those guys you're going to fly back a week later. They don't need you for the flight.
Yeah.
Go to New Zealand. Go somewhere. So we were like, let's have them fly us back from Amsterdam.
Right.
So then we went there. I'd never been to Switzerland before. Then I went skiing with my brother. You went
No, I told you we got to spend like 4 or 5 days in Switzerland. It was amazing.
Yeah. But then we met up again in Amsterdam and we made this deal.
Well, yeah, we flew to Amsterdam.
Where'd you go? Paris or Jessica Michelle went to Paris?
I think she was like backpacking somewhere.
Where'd
but
you
I remember
go?
I went home because I told you.
You went back to America and came back again?
No. When we went to Amsterdam, I flew back from Amsterdam.
In between is what I'm talking about.
No, we went together to.
No. I went skiing with my brother. In between Switzerland and Amsterdam, I went skiing with my brother.
You don't remember
He picked me
this.
up from Montreux.
No, you remember what happened when you went skiing?
No?
You tore your ACL or whatever.
That's story tracks. I do that a lot.
No, that's why you didn't talk to me for like a month because you said you're going to the Swiss Alps. I'm like, Ari, you haven't done anything athletic in like years.
Wait,
Why
so
would
that
you
was
think you can?
after Amsterdam?
Yeah, you went there and I said that's the dumbest thing in the world you could do. You're gonna tear your knee up, and then you didn't talk to me for like a month because you tore your knee, and then you were
No, that was at Whistler. I tore my knee up.
no. I'm almost positive because
No, Whistler was my ankle.
dude, it totally was. I remember you were on a cart like performing when I saw you.
Oh yeah.
When you came back.
Interesting.
And it was because you were so pissed that I told you
Yeah,
what was
you were
going to
right.
happen.
But I thought we're from Switzerland. Jessica Michelle went to Paris, came back to meet us in Amsterdam.
Yeah, she
Because
did.
we needed 5 days off because I went skiing with my brother.
I don't think so. I think we went right to Amsterdam. She
testing
wasn't there
Jessica
the whole
Michelle.
time.
Hey Siri, call Jessica Michelle Singleton.
She wasn't there the whole time.
She wasn't there the whole time. We all went to different places and then met back up.
Voicemail. The person you're trying to...
Come on. Hey Siri, call Jessica Michelle Singleton. There we go. She'll know.
Yeah.
She'll know.
I remember watching her backpack.
Yeah.
Like she had this big giant thing and she just started walking down the road. I'm like,
5 foot
what is she gonna
negative
do?
3. Yeah. It's like, what if you get robbed? She's like, well, pick me up with it. Either way, she's not going to answer.
Hello?
Hey, I'm here with Paul Morrissey. We got a question for
Hey.
you. We're on
Hi, Paul Morrissey.
we're on a podcast.
Hi, podcast.
It's a travel podcast. We're trying to remember the timeline of Montreux, Switzerland to Amsterdam. Did we take a few days off in between those two places?
You did. You went skiing with your family. I think maybe Paul was with you. I think
And
that's
you
what
went-
you're doing.
you went to
'cause I went
Paris?
to Paris.
She went to Paris and then we met back up.
No, I remember Jessica went backpacking. So you were like leaving when we were still in Switzerland and we were going to Amsterdam. And you went to go see
I
your...
thought you guys went fucked off separately.
Yeah, I think you went to
Oh.
Germany or some shit.
I don't think so. I was in Switzerland the whole time.
So maybe you stayed in Switzerland then longer. I think I
Maybe.
fucked up
Didn't
my
you
ankle
go
another
ski with
time.
your family?
Yeah, I
or
went skiing with
something?
my brother. But in Amsterdam, I wasn't limping, was I?
See, but Jessica, he tore his knee up skiing. So he was hurt when he came back. That's why he skied afterwards. I feel like.
Oh, yeah, because you weren't limping. Because I feel like there was a lot of walking around.
Yeah. We walked all over
We
the
walked
place.
around. So, yeah. And I don't think I tore my knee up then.
No,
Yeah,
you
we
did
saw
it.
so many hookers in windows.
So many hookers and windows. Remember the big,
I always come up with a bit of like, I love when it's all the hookers and then the last window is like a CPA or something. It's just like where it ends.
Counting right next to but couldn't care less. The prostitutes, they were like on their phones.
On
and
their
then I tried
phones.
to get you guys
Yeah.
to. I was like, let's all go to a sex show, and you guys were like, no.
We did puss out. You went to it. We were too scared. That was so weird. Why were we so scared? You were so adventurous.
But
I'm just disgusting. I think everyone's like, is this going to be a liability where we get canceled later?
there was like a couple days where you weren't there because we did like Anne Frank and the House of Bowls without Jessica.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I went to Anne Frank with you guys because we had grilled cheese sandwiches at the end.
Right. Then she.
Or I did.
I'm trying to think.
But you guys definitely. I think you went to the Van Gogh Museum. And
Yeah.
when you guys
And
left,
Heineken
you got on a
Factory.
plane, so you gave me somebody gave me a whole bunch of mushrooms, and I had never done them
Me.
up to that point.
Yeah, I had
so then
extras.
I had them and was just wandering around the city high on mushrooms alone.
Wow. All right. I'll call you later.
All
This
right,
helps.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Anyway, regardless, I think I'm right.
Well, it's funny that it's so many things have happened that you can't remember.
This
I
is
never
an
thought I
interesting
was-
with travel. And also in life, but you blend stuff where you lose timelines and you're positive this happened then. We're both positive about different things. We both know we went to Amsterdam and Switzerland.
Right.
The timelines or what's in what country when is another thing.
And the other thing I don't remember her being at the Anne Frank house. I remember us.
But she was, if she says it.
I remember us walking out of because Artie was the one who told us to go to the grilled cheese place.
Artie Lang?
Yeah. Because his whole story was about how, he's like, that is the Anne Frank house where, horrific things were done. And that is a great place for pancakes.
But we got the grilled cheese, by the way. So I went back.
Yeah.
Went back twice. One time it was closed at 3. I had a
man.
joke about it because I was like, I didn't know it closed at 3. I was fucking around. I could have been there earlier. And I'm like, really, because it was my favorite grilled cheese of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm really pissed. I'm almost like crying a little bit. And then people coming out of the Anne Frank house crying. And I was like, right? The grilled cheese closed too early.
Yeah. Well, my bit was, and this is twice this has happened where I'm the ugly American. So I remember you did get kind of emotional at the actual house because it was
How could you not?
It was crazy, you know. So then just eating something like that to cheer you up was so good, but it literally was next to the house. So I remember us coming
Kind of
out
an attached building,
and basically like high-fiving like that was fucking awesome. And everyone thought we were coming out of the Anne Frank house.
You look like a Nazi too. You look like you're going, good times.
So I was just like, oh, we look like ugly Americans, man.
But that's so funny. So then I went back a second time, had it. Something was missing.
Yeah.
And then I found out later because my brother was like, somebody went there. They said it sucked. I'm like, no way, they're wrong. And then I went back again, and new ownership. They just do Foreman Grill now with like one slice of cheese. It's not the same. That's over. It was the greatest. It's done. Guys, I'm breaking into the episode really quickly to tell you about my guest, Paul Morrissey, and a little about this episode. He is a comedian and a very, very funny one. You should see him. All of his dates are on paulhasawebsite.com/tour. In March, he's at the Venetian in Las Vegas. In May, he's at the Tabernacle in Atlanta. I'm going to be there. Ruth Eckerd Hall, Clearwater, Florida. Side Splitters in Florida, in Wesley Chapel, Florida, and Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento, May 30th through 31st. Go to paulhasawebsite.com/tour for all his dates. I have a special next week on Netflix, everybody. America's Sweetheart. It's it's the newest special I have. I take a long time because I do them right. And it's something special, and I'm trying to get a couple of you, at least one. My whole goal is if I get one person to stop reading the news and ignore all that stuff in a funny, laughing way to get through to you, then I've done my job. Tell all your friends, set your calendars right now. Legitimately, go into your phones right now, and January 14th, set a calendar saying, play Ari Shaffir's special. And if you can't watch it all the way through, let it play, because that's how the algorithm works on Netflix. You got to play it all the way through to get to it. I've also got a bunch of dates coming. Some of these with Adrienne Iapalucci. Everything is available on my website, arishaffir.com. Providence, she'll be there. Salt Lake City, Brea, she'll be there. Nashville, she'll be there. San Antonio, Tampa. Maybe Simone will be there in Tampa. Denver, Schaumburg, she'll be there for Schaumburg. Atlanta, Portland, Adrienne will be there for both of those, the Dark Queen. And then San Jose, now we're in March, San Jose, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Seattle, at the Moore, that's a big one. These are all theaters now. Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, all sold out. Maybe there's another show. You should check the website right now. And then finishing it off in Anchorage, Alaska on June 18th, right before the solstice. And then I'm done, you guys, for 2027. If I named any of your cities, I won't be back there until, besides Denver, and that's it. I won't be back in any of those cities till 2028, 2029. So I'd get tickets then. That's it. Let's get back to the episode. Please subscribe wherever you're listening, and that's it. But my new special is the one you want to watch. Tell everybody about it. Do me a favor, and let's blow this thing up. I'm proud of it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to Paul Morrissey. Also, I wanted to tell you this. This episode, the reason I'm doing it, the first one of the year, because this is why I started traveling from this episode. I'm going to realize it a little later in this episode. But this is why I started going nuts. I tried to figure out, like, what was first? Like my China run or something? It all stemmed from this trip I had with Paul Morrissey. We made this deal that we should go see more places. So this whole this whole podcast, You Be Trippin, is all based on what happened on this trip. Me and Paul in Montreux, Switzerland, and then in Amsterdam. But this began it all. And you guys should have your own trips that begin your love of travel. So, that being said, let's enjoy the rest of it. Sorry, I interrupt this interruption to tell you that I have a screening next week for my special America's Sweetheart in Austin, Texas at the Creek in the Cave. I think it's at 5 p.m., might be at 7, I don't know. But get tickets at arishaffir.com. Creek in the Cave preview, Q&A, and my special, America's Sweetheart at the Creek in the Cave. Reasonable tickets. Let's have drinks in the back. It's fun. Let's have a party. I'll see you there. Okay, back to the interruption, then back to the episode.
And then you had a great bit about, didn't you have something about the Heineken factory, which is funny?
You went to the Heineken factory. I went to Anne Frank.
No, we went to, yeah.
But in the bit, I said, my buddy went to Heineken factory.
Oh,
I go,
right.
I have to go to Anne Frank. And you go, that seems like a downer. I'm like, yeah, for sure it's going to be a downer.
I thought you said, like, you'd think it was, like, guys with fetal alcohol poisoning or something.
I was like, they have a whole ride. That's it. They have a whole ride through whatever. And then instead of Oompa Loompas, it's just kids with fetal alcohol syndrome.
But then we went to the low-key one was that Bols.
No one talks about it.
Yeah, it's like basically their schnapps.
Yeah.
So like they have Blue Bowls is funny, but that's like the mix in like the UK. Instead of like schnapps, they'll mix bowls. So they had those bottles where you could juggle them and stuff because they're almost made to like spin and do all the cocktail things. And then we made a video in like that little room, and I have that somewhere.
Did we really?
Yeah.
We got to put that in, bro. We got to put that in. Yeah, the Bols Factory.
Basically, like, they used to make absinthe and, like, all this stuff that was illegal, you know?
Didn't they have a painting there by, like, a Rembrandt-type level guy who was like, I can't pay my bill because it used to be a bar.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'll make you a painting. It'll be worth, like, a few million.
Yeah, literally. I think it was Rembrandt who ran up his bill so much that he just gave them the painting, so it's still, like, in there.
Imagine being drunk off only Bols alcohol. Being a fucking absurdly drunk.
Was it absinthe or one of those things that was like used to eat your brain? You know all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? What's the worst one, absinthe or what's
I think
the
it's
other?
absinthe. But now you can't get real absinthe anymore. It's all this like fake version of it. It's kind of like hemp.
Yeah, Jennifer.
Yeah, they gave you 2 samples. You could drink whatever you want.
Yeah, we have a video of you doing that.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere you're like juggling the bottles.
Oh, we got to find that. It's got to be on some flip phone.
Oh,
somewhere.
and then we have that was from the Heineken factory of us.
Back to your phone. Oh yeah, they take a
Remember that?
picture of you. Look at that hair on that guy. Oh, I'm jealous. I got to go to Turkey if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that was the
Whoa,
Bols.
look at that hair. When was this? December 19th, 2013. Well, that's the trip.
So that's the. But look at my drink. How it matches your sweater.
Oh my God.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. Okay, so I got to say this though.
Okay.
So after this is why it's a very important podcast we're doing now for this podcast. So where was it when we made this plan, this challenge? I remember either in the lobby of the festival with Leo Segola and you guys after eating raclette, or it's somewhere in Amsterdam where we decided this.
My recollection was after Amsterdam, we said something along the lines of like, why don't we do this instead of like Sacramento every year? Like, you know what I mean? Or Baltimore, not to like shit on cities we've been to all over. But it's like, why don't we, even if we go to like two cool places and the shows are terrible, because like the Switzerland show wasn't amazing, but like just doing the trip was awesome.
It was a free flight to a country we honestly, when we started comedy, it's almost like it doesn't make sense now because comedy's so big.
Yeah.
But like the odds of us ever getting flown to Europe were like zero.
It was their first English speaking show.
It was a French festival.
Yeah.
And they flew everybody out, put us all up. And then at the end, they're like, here's $500.
Right.
Like that wasn't part of the deal even. And it was like, yes, Mike Leibovitz, you, ISO, who's going to be on this podcast about Carnival. Yeah, it's like, why not go to these places?
Yeah. And that was like, oh yeah, I remember now because I ended up doing all the other cool shit in Montreux.
You stayed.
Because I went to...
While I was skiing in Zermatt.
I went to the
Castle?
recording studio where they did Under Pressure.
Smoke on the water.
Smoke on the water. But they have a statue of Freddie Mercury.
We have that picture
And there's
somewhere.
a casino.
Yeah.
That's a casino now, but it's where the studio was, where it was like David Bowie and Queen just met up at a bar and they're like, hey, let's record something. And they go to this studio and they record Under Pressure when Bowie's like hammered. And the next day, he's like, hey, Freddie, you gotta let me redo that. And he's like, no, don't be so dramatic. It's already done. I already sent it in. So they have all like Freddie Mercury's lyric sheets, all his like costumes, everything.
I was in, I believe it was Melbourne with Kylie Sparrow, and we went to the and Julie Lawless, and we went to the David Bowie exhibit. It was a traveling exhibit, and they cleaned it up a little bit when I went to Brooklyn, because this is the part they didn't have. They had all of his Coke spoons. They had a giant display of these beautiful engraved Coke spoons, and like, I mean, he had like 20 of them, and they didn't shy away from any of that.
Yeah.
When he told Ziggy Stardust band he was done on stage, when they're like, wait, what? They're like, we're done. I'm not done with Ziggy Stardust. I'm just being Dave Bowie from now on. The band's over. And they were like, oh, he goes, here's the last song. And they're like, wait. They're just looking at each other like, I'm out of a job. He goes, it's this long thing. He goes, thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience. I have to tell you something. Not only is this, and he's blown out of his mind on Coke.
Yeah.
And he goes, not only is this the final song of the night, and not only is this the final night of the tour, it is also the final show Ziggy Stardust will ever do. And then they're all like, what? Wait, what?
Well, I didn't know he picked one.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, let's go.
And by the way, the coolest thing ever, we were talking about my buddy who was in the restaurant biz there. He's you know how like you got to get a trainer in New York, and they always don't have these gyms, so it might be like, you know, you have a trainer, but he might take it to like a one-room thing with like 2 treadmills in it at a building or something, you know? Right. So my buddy had this trainer, and he took him, you know, sometimes you take him to random places. So he takes him to this like, basically just this room that had like 2 treadmills and like a bunch of free weights, and David Bowie's on the other treadmill.
Whoa.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Would you pick up your speed, or would you try to stay pace?
I try to stay dead even with him. We were talking about this yesterday. Who was saying it? Oh, Aaron Berg. He said Shooter McGavin was in his crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, when you see a celebrity, he's not the biggest fan of whoever that guy is.
Yeah.
But he liked him from the movie.
Right.
And you just want to impress them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not even your guy, but you're like, I've recognized they can't do anything for you. You just want to impress them. It just comes out.
What's the
I
weirdest?
would stay even with Bowie.
Yeah, which the weirdest person in the crowd that you knew about?
Topanga.
Probably the store, right?
Topanga. There was one night where 2 massive celebrities, I believe it was the guy who moved to Austin now, from True Romance. Not True Romance, True Detective.
McConaughey?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And I may be wrong about McConaughey. So it might be someone else, and John Bon Jovi.
Oh, no way.
One was drunk, the McConaughey, or it was someone else. But let's just say McConaughey for McConaughey's sake. McConaughey, if it's not you, sorry. But he was drunk and just heckling everybody in the belly room, too.
Oh, wow.
And just like being belligerent. That's what happens. Anytime Kid Rock's at a show, the show's over, he's taken over. And it was one of those where you feel like a celebrity, big and rich, would come in and destroy shows by making it about themselves. They don't just sit there.
Right.
Victor Cruz was in the crowd last night.
No way.
Yeah, big, giant football player. They told me, I wouldn't have recognized him.
Yeah,
With sweatpants. They can't find pants that fit. And I enjoyed making him laugh. I did my Australian football versus rugby joke. And he was like loving it. But he kept heckling. Let's say McConaughey kept heckling, and then John Bon Jovi would come to the green room and apologize for him, and then go back to sit down.
What?
The next guy would get heckled and annoyed by John Bon Jovi would come say, "I'm really sorry for my friend. He's just too drunk." Go back to the room over and over and over again. Good times.
Yeah, the weirdest one I had was like it was like Ventura Harbor, which
Yeah.
you wouldn't think you'd see anybody, but it was like this beautiful blonde, like in all leather. She's like third row, but it was like you have no idea who it is, but this is somebody.
Like, you're somebody. Yeah.
And it was like actually distracting. Like, you know how usually you're focused, but I'm like, this woman is like beautiful. She ended up being the lead singer of Berlin,
Oh, wow.
that Terry Nunn.
Yeah.
Like, Take My Breath Away.
Take my breath away.
And I got a picture with her afterwards and stuff, but like
Yeah.
she was still like stunning. Like that's,
Wow.
but the weirdest one lately was I did a show in Phoenix.
I think Terry Hatcher used to come into the cellar.
Oh yeah?
And she was like, still got it.
Who do they, like the door guys tell you the hottest girl that ever came in?
I said Terry Hatcher came in a lot. Let me try to think. No, I don't know.
There's a guy,
You know the Brody story we got to talk about.
what's that?
You know the Brody one.
No.
No one's going to get this because it's a reference from, what was the show was Tootie on?
Facts of Life.
Facts of Life. So it was a Facts of Life one. So Brody's a very clean comic and very positive, whatever. And we're fucking with him and tweaking him, really driving him to suicide.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Pretty early on. It was a years long project to make him kill himself. A success. And anyway, we're fucking with. He's like, hey guys, you want to learn something? Come on in and watch me. Like the fake bragging.
Right.
And then we're fucking with him a little bit. He's enjoying it, whatever. And he goes, I'll show you I'm good. Let me do some crowd work. And she's like, just talking. He's like, well, what's your name? He's like, Buzz. It makes fun. Someone else like, what's your name? She's like, Jerry. He goes, oh, like Jerry Jewell, like from Facts of Life. I'm Jerry Jewell. I'm Jerry Jewell. And then the lady goes, I am Jerry Jewell. And he was like, what? She goes, I am Jerry Jewell. What the fuck, asshole? And he just went white. And it was Jerry Jewell.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. The first, like, it was like cerebral palsy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
First,
she was a
handicap-
stand-up too.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
That's what she came in to watch.
That's
She's probably
hilarious.
a regular at the store.
Guys, I love skiing, but the hard thing is getting your skis and your boots and your equipment to where you're going. And I mess up a lot. I'm a comedian and I'm not organized. Sometimes I'll pack and then I'll forget to bring it. Well, now there's a solution. Shipskis.com. Yeah, they ship your stuff to where you're going and you pick it up there. No more lugging it. No more having to wait for your other bigger bags to come in. Everyone else is getting their bags and going. And they're like looking at you like, what's this guy's problem? I'm a skier. Well, what a dork you are that you got to wait for your big things when you could have used Shipskis.com. And now you're standing there with their fucking ass in your hand because you got nothing. And you're on the slopes and you're freezing your fucking ass off. It could have been solved with Shipskis.com. Listen, I'm a little too upset about it, but I'm out here and I'm cold. Right now, there's a solution. Go to shipskis.com. Right now, Shipskis is offering our listeners 20% off your first shipment when you go to shipskis.com and use the code ARI. Go to shipskis.com, use code ARI to get 20% off your first shipment and save yourself the hassle this ski season. That's shipskis.com. Make sure you use the code ARI so they know that I sent you. Shipskis.com. Guys, don't be like me. Be organized.
What else you got?
The weirdest one lately was I was in Phoenix and it was like one of those like a theater at like a community theater, and they're just like, hey, no, you can say anything but no OJ jokes. I was like,
No OJ
I was like,
jokes.
what year is this that you would want me to stay away from OJ jokes? And I go, you don't have to worry about it. And they said, well, it's because Fred Goldman lives
Goldman
here.
Sachs?
No, the waiter's dad,
Oh.
who he killed, was in the audience.
Proven innocent, though.
And
Didn't kill him.
he was in the third row. I remember he was on the news all the time. Like he has a mustache, like a handlebar mustache with like glasses.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh, that's the weirdest thing that's ever happened at a show, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so buddy, wait. I just realized we got to get back to this because we didn't
All right.
finish the story. So what'd you say? Why are we going to Sacramento? Why are we going to Baltimore all the time for like travel?
Yeah, let's do like 2 new places like this every year.
We
instead.
challenged ourselves.
Yeah,
Because we did 2 there, and it was like Michelle did 3. Jessica Michelle, excuse me, my daughter. First father-daughter team in comedy store history. Look, let's do 2 new countries every year. And we really checked in with each other.
Yeah.
We didn't let ourselves go. You'd be like, check this out. You'd always show me check this out. Like, where are you? You'd be like, on the coast of this. I'm like, oh hell yeah! And then you're like, what do you got this year? I'm like, I already did this, and I'm going to this.
Yeah, but you also there was like a year where you didn't have a phone,
Right.
so like you would tell me you're in all these places, but I don't know if you have any pictures.
I had a Canon Mark 7 for a while. When I was in Southeast Asia, I had that.
What year did you do the flip phone thing?
Well, I didn't bring my phone to Southeast Asia.
Like East Timor?
Yeah, I didn't have a phone for that, but I had that Canon Mark 7, which was my favorite camera, my only camera I've ever had, actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it had a flip up, a screen that you could like look at, and that went down, so you could go up, like get high above a crowd.
Yeah.
And point it down so you could see yourself. I got
No, but it's
pictures of that.
insane that you didn't have a phone in all these places. Like
made it way
that's
better.
like old school.
I mean, they don't have internet to get anyway. Then.
I guess, but like if you needed something or you had like a snake bite.
So what I had was a burner phone that I bought in Scotland at the Edinburgh Festival.
Okay.
That was after a year you could jailbreak
yeah.
it, and it was like 60 pounds for the phone. It was shitty. I think it had like a memory of 500 megabytes, like nothing, but enough that I could do maps.me, so I could have my way around a country. If I got Wi-Fi to download the country, like Myanmar, I'm like, okay, I got
Yeah.
all the roads, and then if I needed to make a flight, I could get to where there was Wi-Fi. I could make a flight from there. I could get on the internet
Yeah.
enough, but not good.
Do you know I bought a phone for Switzerland?
Really?
Yeah, like in the airport. I was one of those rubes. I'm like,
I'm trying
what
to
if I need a
I'm trying
phone?
to bury his treat.
Are you going to hide it?
He's doing wolf shit. He sees it there. He just wants it buried. Now he's unburying it. Oh, let her go. Let her go. Let her go.
Will you get mad?
It's just funny. It's like they're so part of their like the leftover wolf shit. It's like when they rub themselves in like poop. You ever see that?
Yeah. But is he hiding? He's hiding it for herself?
For himself, yeah. We found all these my plants on my deck all dug up, and squirrels, and then I'm like, oh fuck, the squirrels got to the birds, and then I like, what the fuck, and I was like uprooting the roots that had been ruined, and I found a bone, and I'm like, oh, it was Bandit.
Yeah.
Hi Bandit, I was just saying your name. Don't worry about it. Hi buddy, good. Nobody's gonna find that. Bury it more. Good job.
Show your ass.
Show your ass a little bit, buddy. The people see what we're talking about here. Okay. So, but we like, let's do 2 new countries a year.
Yeah.
And that's been my goal. Only that Ecuador COVID year, and all of November, all December, and the first 4 months of the next year were all Ecuador. So it was like, fine, I only got one, but what a one. 2 straight
Right.
months in Ecuador.
But then you did a bunch of you did like Romania, all
Last
those
year,
kind
yeah.
of like I was doing like Japan,
Yeah, you went to Japan.
Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam.
Yeah, you went to all those. And you went for touring.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got comedy to pay for those trips.
Yeah, we did the Magners Comedy Festival, so they brought us to 7 countries in 10 days.
I like this challenge because it forced me. I would have, if not for the challenge, I would have failed on it.
Yeah?
But like there was one where I went to like Polynesia where I'm like, fuck, it's almost New Year's and I don't have one yet.
Right.
So I went from the West Coast to Polynesia for 4 or 5 nights. Not worth it. But
Where'd you go?
Tahiti and Moorea.
Did you go to Rangaroa?
No.
That's my favorite place in the world.
Really? Rangaroa.
Yeah, it's like it's like if you go into Papeete or whatever.
Papita, yeah. That's where I flew into.
I'll show you this. Where is it?
Oh, wow. So I was down there. And you're way up there. What the fuck's Rangaroa? Buddy, up or down?
It was so basically I flew into Papeete or something like that, and then there was like a little ship you could get off for like the day.
All the
And,
pictures are of diving.
And I was just walking around.
Wow, look at it. It's
And,
a barely connected, like... You have pictures of it?
Yeah, I'll show you.
We still have to go to this actual trip we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll get to it. Rangaroa. Oh, it's right. You can search now. Tahiti. Dude, my favorite thing about Tahiti was seeing the notable like expats that live there or people not from there that live there. It was like an F1 driver. Obviously, what's his name from Godfather? Was big into it. Big fat one. He loved it there. What was his name? The Godfather's
F1
father.
driver?
No, forget the F1 driver. The Godfather guy.
Oh, Brando.
Brendo. Yeah. And then the artist that was there.
Painter?
The painter. What's his name? painter, Tahiti. He went there from France. Paul Gauguin.
Oh, Gauguin.
And he
Gauguin,
was super colonial, went hard on having like child brides and stuff. He was a drunk. And they talked about Brando a little bit in all these exhibits. And then they go, Paul Gauguin, that was his. It was like, died 1837 of misery. Yeah, that's what it said. I loved it so much.
Let me find it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Put Tahiti in here. But we have all these other ones.
All right, but let's
funny.
talk about this trip we're going on.
Yeah.
Now we're already fucking 40. We should be wrapping up. We haven't even started yet.
Well, I think it was like, my idea was like because, are you allowed to say what you're doing next year or no?
Oh, yeah. Oh. Hold on a second. Let me think. No.
Okay. Well, I just thought it was like a good milestone because
I'm going traveling. I'll just say that.
We're at so it's basically 11 years since we started doing
It's
this.
December 2013. This is December 2024.
And we'll take the pandemic year out. So it's basically 10.
I still got one that year. Did you get any that year? You really
yeah,
would have had
Barbados.
Barbados. You really had to go in January or February somewhere. I was in Hawaii, but that doesn't count. And then again in October, because the middle 6, 7, 8 months, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
My favorite story of that was what you told me about some friend of yours in Vietnam.
Which one?
You were like, missed the last flight home. Everyone's trying to get their last flights home.
Right.
And he missed it. And he goes, fuck. And then he's like, oh, I'm in a country that's going to cost me $7 a day to live. This is amazing.
Yeah, it was a girl from Montreal. Yeah. She stayed there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So let's talk about our trip, though.
Okay.
You've never been to Switzerland before. I had never. They flew us out. What do you remember about it?
I remember, so it was like a contest or something, because it was just when you'd gotten your TV show. So it was like one of those things where they're like,
yeah,
we want you to host this thing. And then they picked like 5 comedians. So
it was this. They go, I want you to be an ambassador to get some submissions.
Right.
We're going English. So they had a sketch and a stand-up part. Those are the only 2 English. The rest is French. It's a long-standing French festival. Probably Mike Ward's probably done it. And go, let's do a little English. Like, can you be an ambassador? You seem like you have an online presence. Because my show at the time was online. It was still digital. I was like, sure.
Which is funny because they were like, oh yeah, he's like it's like when you see them, it's like somebody hiring you for a corporate gig or something. It's like,
oh,
have you not seen any of his stuff?
Yeah. So, and the sketch people ended up getting like 40 submissions. We had 400 plus.
Yeah.
And you said, from my old apartment, where we used to get bangs while we're trying to do a podcast, where I got thrown out for doing business. It was just an audio podcast of us talking shit. And they were like, that's a business. You said, I remember talking to like, hey, I'm applying to that festival you're ambassadoring. They gave me like $5,000 to go also, which was nice.
Right.
And then you go, can you help get me in? And then I realized, oh, maybe I can. It was just them. I just wanted submissions they were going to choose, but I'm like, yeah, that'd be way more fun if you came with me.
Yeah.
And so then I tried to tell them, I was like, hey, I'll go over the submissions for you if you want. Because they had to narrow it down from 400 to what? Like 50? The audience voted down to like 10, and then they would choose 5 from there.
That was the hard part, is I still had to get votes
and
views after that.
So I was like, okay. And I was like, tell you what, guys, I'll watch some of the, like, why don't you take 100? She'll take 100, he'll take 100, he'll take 100. I'm like, no, just take them all. I learned so much about submission tapes that if the audio's fucked, you're just skipping. I got it from the other perspectives side, from the industry side. But anyone I had heard of, any comic I knew in any way, was getting passed into the final 50.
Right.
And then other ones, if they were just good, they were also getting passed in. So I didn't know Kevin Iso. He was just a good one. I didn't know Mike Leibovitz. He was just a good one. Jessica Michelle, I mean, any of them, from door guy to headliner. And I was like, hey guys, I gave a nice selection of upper level people, lower level people, men and women. But really, I just want to tell them anyone I knew is getting passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jessica Michelle, and you all got passed. You all got to the final 10, and then I helped choose, and it was like, no, then it was on them again.
Yeah, I had to get votes, which sucked because, I mean, at that point I'd done Late Show like 4 times, so I had like TV credits,
right?
And then It's funny because every contest I've ever been in, I've lost, but something's good has happened from it. So basically, I worked on this 5-minute set for that contest. Did the contest, I lost. I don't even know what place I came. Leibowitz won.
Leibowitz won. He got invited back the next year.
And it was the guy Bruce Hills from JFL was there.
Yeah.
And then
and you know what? He was there
to meet up with Queen's manager and go skiing.
Yeah, exactly. He was there technically to judge as the head of JFL, but really he's like, no, they flew me to Switzerland. Same as us.
Yeah.
They flew me to Switzerland.
I'm gonna go
enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of business now, but they're back in business. So congrats.
But so that so this is December 2013. So then that set I've been practicing. Like if it did okay in Switzerland, but none of it was
40 people in a banquet room.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything.
So,
but also then we met. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
We met up with Luis Hogola and all these South African comics.
Yeah,
that's why I met Luis.
Yeah,
there were some other guys too. They were all pretty funny and really cool.
Yep,
fun to hang out with, and you got a perspective of South Africa I've never gotten before.
And they did a show in French, I think, right?
The
really? Night before there was
they
like
all
a different
speak French.
Yeah, but then that set that I had worked on was the set that I submitted to Letterman, and I got Letterman the next 6 months later.
Oh, great!
So that even though I lost the contest, that helped me.
That's good about focusing on positives. Please give it up for Mr. Paul Morrissey, everybody. Let him hear it.
Oh, it's good to be here. I like being in Switzerland. I kind of blend in with you people.
So let's talk about, so we get there. What I remember is the Christmas Village, above all.
Yeah.
And then later, because that Christmas Village was so fun with tchotchkes to buy, and it wasn't like I Heart Switzerland, like the dumb, Times Square shit. It was like legit. It wasn't even Zurich. It was Montreux.
Like they had Hitler Russian dolls and Freddie Mercury. And all kinds of weird shit.
But this long bun that they took a stick and just went long ways instead of cutting it open.
Well, it was a baguette.
Baguette,
it was a French baguette. And they just had a spike that you could spike the whole middle.
So that's a hole in the middle.
Yeah. So, and then they had a...
But it wasn't all completely opened up. It was just a hole. The kind of like when you're at the beach and they put your beach thing down, the beach umbrella down, and they make a hole first, then put it in and cover it up.
Yeah, so it's one of those hot dog buns that have just the middle out. So it was basically like that, and then there was a saucepan, and the guy was just putting in fine wine and Gruyere cheese.
Yeah.
And then he would just pour it into the hole. So it was this giant, classy mozzarella stick, basically.
I remember that market bread. I remember that they would fill it with cheese, and then the cheese would settle, and they'd refill it more. It would soak in a little bit because it melted. Oh, wait. It features a local delicacy called Chasbangel, which is a hollowed-out baguette loaf filled with fondue.
Oh,
I mean, this is, I got to look this up as a picture.
All right. Chasbanger.
Nice. Wow. Images. Yup.
There we go.
Yup. Look at that.
I didn't know there's a name for it.
Wow.
That's
Me
awesome.
neither. I thought it was just some guy who was like, I don't know, Chasbangel. It was so good. And the cheese would get harder, but it would stay, because it was covered with other cheese, it would stay melty for quite a while. The Glühwein, which is like the hot wine.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm not a big wine guy, but I remember trying that because it was so cold.
Yeah.
But then also the best part, do you remember
what?
The night before the show, they had that big dinner?
Yeah.
And they had the whole thing of raclette. And we had never had raclette before.
This is it, bro. This is the fucking top Christmas markets on Lake Geneva. I mean, this is it. This is the Christmas market.
Yeah.
Look at that. With the mountains behind it. It was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
We were fucking kids. We were all kind of poor.
Yeah.
And we got to go to this fucking crazy thing on the arm. Yeah, with the mountains behind. The lake was right behind these huts, if I remember right. Lake was in between these huts and the mountains.
Yeah, everything was a postcard.
Mobbed. That's a good way to put it. Everything was a postcard. Wow.
That's why I was like, there's no way you're going to be able to ski those mountains.
I mean, what a time it was.
Oh yeah, there was a Ferris wheel too. I think, right?
Sounds right.
There was like a little fair part, but yeah.
God damn, bro.
48 hours of fun. Somebody else went there too.
No, the Montreux. Yeah, it's underrated because all you hear about is Zurich and somewhere else in Switzerland.
The only thing I feel bad about, we should have asked Jessica about it.
Yeah.
Was the next year, like I'd done Letterman, and like I was I was working on a pilot at CBS.
Yeah.
So some lady emailed me and said, "Can you make do a knock knock joke and post it online for the festival?" Because they wanted me to be like the
ambassador.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it just felt like it wasn't. You remember that it was that one beautiful
She was
girl?
gorgeous. She was so. I saw her at Edinburgh one year. She mentioned they might do something in South Africa or something. I was like, I'm in. And then it never panned out. But she was a dime.
Yeah, that was like when you run a company like that and you hire like a beautiful woman.
Gosh, she knew what she was doing too. Which I come from LA. I had never seen someone who was hot and smart.
And you remember what you did to her?
Oh boy, no.
You
can say it.
No, she left her phone open. So you wrote on her Facebook thing that she was pregnant. You remember that?
Anyone who says I became an edgelord now doesn't know me from a long time ago.
And I don't even know if they translated it into French.
Yeah, it might have been.
But yeah, she was like,
yeah, you could buy all these cheeses and chocolates at the fair.
oh yeah, the chocolate was the other deal.
Wow,
Like Swiss chocolates.
look
Amazing.
at all that. It was so fucking cool, and it wasn't that cold. It was early in the winter, so it wasn't freezing. It was coat weather, but not crazy. The glue wine was so good. But you know what this made me do? Every time there's a Christmas village anywhere in Europe,
You'll check
I'm
it
checking
out?
it out.
Yeah.
I have a cup that's not here from the Manchester Christmas factory that I went to with Evan DeMarie.
Oh, that's funny.
And I got the glühwein there.
That's hilarious.
Dude, it ruled in this minor town in Switzerland. They put us in a nice hotel.
Yep. And we did we do a podcast from there? Because that was the only thing I was thinking about.
Did we?
Because I don't know if you remember, because we didn't really know each other until we started, because we were...
Sean Kemp's kids.
Yeah, but...
No, you played Saturday
But Gnüss
game.
and those guys started that league, and everyone kind of like Comedy Store guys who didn't really know everybody else, everyone started like hanging out a little bit. That's how I met David Taylor, you.
Yeah.
And then...
the Saturday game with the Sklar's
Yeah,
played.
and you got to know everybody.
Yeah.
And then you were somewhat normal by then. Like I'd heard all the stories about you, but then when we met, like you were actually interested in playing basketball because you're like, yeah, I want to learn how to like pick and roll and rebound and stuff like that. Jeff Dye too.
Well, we did one about your basketball days. We know we did a podcast there.
Yeah, but I'm saying like we kind of met through that, and then your podcast was just getting started. So I think even the travel stuff, because that's what I'm saying. You're doing a travel podcast now. Like, how do you say that this doesn't
bonus
lead
material?
into things?
Basketball with Paul Morrissey. Sports Machine. That's about your time as a
sports anchor.
Take me out to the ball game where we went.
That's
Started
the
in
most
that apartment.
famous one.
In that apartment, we did it on the subway. This was so DIY because everyone's like, it was pre anyone even having a studio. But
I think it's the best thing that's ever been done.
You could hear us walking down the street, being on the subway, you could hear the crack of the bat.
We're on the way to Yankee Stadium. We're so under the radar. You had these SM58s, but they looked professional back then.
Yeah,
So
it's these.
So we were in
It's the same ones I'm using.
But we were in the front row of the bleacher section. So the security guys thought we were actually like broadcasting. So we were like doing the whole thing. And then remember, there was like a no-hitter through 5 innings. And it was like a good game too.
It was a good game.
And then we had those
girls.
Those girls recognized, or no, they didn't recognize you. They're like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, you're a couple of Jewish girls from wherever." And she's like, "How'd you know we were Jewish?"
Yeah, I just immediately went back. How'd you know we were Jewish? She started laughing.
And then I always remember the kid as like a
Somebody took a
12-year-old
picture of
kid that was like, "Hey, are you the amazing racist?"
Oh yeah.
While we were like on the podcast, and you're just kind of like,
Oh yeah. They had some little kid come up to try to say hi to me.
yeah."
And I was like, what?
And
then
you're
his
like, "Keep it
father-
down, buddy," because he's like, "Are you the amazing racist?" He's like, "Yeah, but keep it down, buddy."
Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
And her dad was like center or him. Let's
Yeah,
see if
so
we can
we-
find some images from there.
So I traced this whole thing from travel and podcasting to what you're doing right now.
Yeah, wow.
cool.
Yeah, you were on my old podcast a lot. Yeah, guys, if you want to go check that out, check it out soon because I keep meaning to go delete all those old episodes
But it made like a bunch of lists in like random
of like coolest.
like Runner's World's coolest sports podcast of the year.
It
something
really
like that.
was. You could hear this is when Marin like showed me how to do all this stuff. He's like, no, I'll sit
Right.
here with you and like show you how to do it. And he goes, he's like, I've done one from a car before. He goes, it doesn't overpower. You can tell you're in a car, but you can still hear. You could hear the crack of the bat on a hit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't overpowering our voice.
Right.
It was pretty interesting. You could hear the roar of the crowd, but you could hear us more.
And we were still just like watching the game.
Yeah.
Because we were fans.
Because also we were like, after like an inning, we're like, oh, let's put it away for a couple innings
Yeah.
and watch. Because otherwise it would have been a 5. It was old baseball too. That lasted
Yeah,
4.5 hours.
Yeah. No timer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was I trace. I think we were good influence on each other because
Yeah.
we both started to do obviously the travel stuff, and then I did the podcast stuff for a little while. But here's the thing: why did you stop your old podcast?
It was, what do you think? I gotta start asking that more in interviews.
For me, because I came from broadcasting, then I was Artie's co-host for a while, and then I was Tom
that's right.
Papa's co-host for a while, and I did mine.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of like I had all the people that I wanted to have on, and I didn't want to just keep doing it to do it. So it takes so much less pressure on me. Like it's more fun for me to just do this because I haven't seen you in a while. So this is cool to catch up and just chat.
We would have
so.
just gotten coffee if
Yeah.
not. But yeah, you're pretty close. That's a reason. It honestly, I'm a big freedom guy. It's the kind of one of the most important things to me. To be able to go to Southeast Asia for months, to be able to go to Ecuador for 6 months, to be able to I was doing a Something's Burning with Brenda Zisi and Bert.
Right.
And I was saying like, we're talking about freedom in general. And I was like, yeah, I'm very free. And Bert's like, I have as much freedom as you do. And I just started laughing.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you mean? And Steve goes, Bert, Ari could just turn this table over and go to the airport and leave right now.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I have a family. He goes, right. Which is why you don't have as much freedom as me, because you have these things. This began to feel like a job.
Yeah.
And once I realized, I was like, oh, all right, I got about 3 months to wrap this up nicely, but I'm done with it. I don't want a job.
Yeah.
So I lost a lot of money and got more freedom.
Well, that's the thing is you can't get used to the money. That's with any kind of stand-up even. I remember Tosh, I think, told me when he first was headlining all the improvs, it's like, I'm working 45 weeks a year to pay for a house that I'm not in.
Yeah.
So that's why he did the show. Like,
So he could be home.
yeah.
Wow. And now
So-
doesn't he just surf all day now?
I think, yeah.
would
Well, he's
like
married,
Hawaii.
has a kid, I think, at least. But my thing was, I wanted to, like, I think I'm like you, where we are hard workers, but we need like a break. So I can work on something for 3 months, like a script or a pilot or a
You
special,
got to put it away eventually.
and then I just need like a month to do nothing.
Yeah, you get your brain thinking again.
Yeah.
You need a fallow year for crops.
Right.
You know? That's like you need a year where doesn't rob the soil of something, which the soil is your mind.
But there's a lot of people that they need like the schedule every day, and I'm just not that person. Like
To
the
each
best,
their own.
the best example was oh man, it's these two composers, and Stravinsky, I think Igor Stravinsky. It's like a famous,
Yeah.
and then like Handel or something. There's like two of the most famous composers.
Okay.
One of them did their masterpiece working every day from like 9 to 5 for like 6 months. And then the other guy did it all night for 30 days. So it's like when you have inspiration, you have to go like, I'm not somebody that can like, I'll stay up all night working on something.
Because also it's like then you're just working for the sake of work. You're like, it's kind of like, remember when the bloggers would get angry about something? Like Lindy West would be about jokes or or whatever you're into. But then it's like, ooh, this is catching on, and you're like, well, now it's next week. I have to write another one. But you're not as mad about this one.
Yeah.
You were really worked up about the other one. Now you're just like trying to get worked up.
Right.
So it's kind of empty.
Yeah, and that was a fun thing about the podcast when you have like somebody that you're like, oh, I want to have this person on just to talk to them.
So there was that too. Everyone was a topic on Skeptic Tank, and at some point I'm like, I know, because I wanted to learn about things in a funny way, and I've learned about drug addiction enough. I've learned about fucking hookers enough. I'm like, yeah, I got it. So now I'm just like, you'd be like, or someone would be like, hey, can I go on your podcast? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, figure out a topic and we'll just cut this. And I'm like, well, I'm not interested anymore. It was like, I worked at the rodeo. I'm like, yeah, sure, that'll do. And it's just like, I wasn't interested. And also, it was like a lot of things. And also, I was starting to get affected by people's follower counts. I could see myself being pulled into what everyone in LA is pulled into.
Yeah.
Where valuing humans based on their popularity instead of their actual, what they enrich your life with.
Right.
And I didn't like that at all. And
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get back to just who's most interesting.
You are very, like, I remember, because, when you shot your first
Yeah, you were there.
special,
You were there.
I was like the only comic there.
You said put some fucking powder on your feet.
Because
You're squeaking.
you got brand new sneakers
Yeah.
and your sneakers were squeaking after every joke. I was like, put something up there. It's going to ruin every joke.
Good call.
But that, and then I went to the first, this is not happening. And then so it went from like, I've seen this, with Gaffigan. I worked when he got super
he was a club
famous, and
comic.
then you got really famous. And so I saw the way that you try to navigate that, because I know you hate like phoniness and you hate like people maneuvering and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see you navigate that whole thing. I mean, even now, because you moved to New York, you didn't really know anybody.
Yeah, it seems obvious now, but Don Herrera was like, no, you moved from New York to LA. You're just starting to get going. Now you're moving away from LA? That's wrong. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see new things.
But it was interesting because did you have the show yet? I don't know if you had the show
I
yet.
think I had the show.
But I remember
Just the beginning. I think it was only digital.
I was at your apartment when your bed got delivered. You were like coming in. And so you didn't know anybody.
You told him about the diner because this is your diner. It closed.
Yeah. I was
Odessa,
in your place
Odessa.
before you were.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
I didn't know anybody.
like 6 months later, you had the show. Like
Then it got
everywhere
picked up
we
to
went,
TV.
people were starting to kiss your ass, and like all these people are schmoozing you. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, man.
The Netflix special was 2017. But
Yeah.
that's when I got from Asia.
Right.
Yeah, I let Duncan stay at my place when I went to Southeast Asia. He was the last one I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, I want to leave LA. And I was like, stay here. I'm not coming back. Actually, if he wasn't staying at my place, I think 2 days in, I would have just turned around and gone home because I was so scared in Myanmar.
Wow.
I was so lonely and so scared. But I'm like, fuck, if I go home, Duncan's going to be there. I'm going to be embarrassed. I can't
Wait,
just...
so what? Wait, why?
Why will I be embarrassed? I said, I'm
No,
going
why
out-
were you going to come home?
I was so scared. It was like, this isn't the right move. This isn't the right move. I don't know anyone here. I was having withdrawals from social media because I locked myself out of all that.
Yeah.
So I was having dopamine withdrawals, like, medically, dopamine withdrawals from that. And then like, I was like, oh, I'm scared. I don't know where to go. I don't know anybody. How do I even do this? I've never been anywhere. People say I'm a good traveler. I'm a terrible traveler. I guess.
But I remember you told me that you were staying at like hostels so you could
Yep.
meet people
Yep.
naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. And then I started. But 2 days in, I was like, I'm not a very social person.
Yeah.
But like in Hong Kong and that China run, you did that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first few days, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm very alone. And after about 4 or 5 days, right actually when I got to Hong Kong, right when I got to Beijing, it was about 8 days in, and then I was starting to feel lonely enough
Yeah.
to meet people.
That's how I am. I've never felt lonely in my life until I had 2 days in Japan. And I didn't do shows, didn't talk to anybody. And Japan is so quiet, like all the trains, everything. And I hadn't heard anybody laugh in like 2 days. Like I saw these schoolgirls laugh, and then I saw these like business guy like bullshit laugh, and that was it. So
Wow.
after like 3 days, I was ready to do a show, but I hadn't been lonely, or even needing to get on stage in forever.
Yeah.
Till that you get put in that position. I also want credit for making you not more focused, but remember when you went to Amsterdam
With you.
And like, even when we were playing basketball, I was like, you had to smoke weed like every hour. And then I was like,
Yeah, I would go out in like halftime. I'd go smoke weed.
well, but I was like, we were in Amsterdam or not Amsterdam, but forget where else. And you were like stopping. And I was like, this is like, you know, because they always say like an addiction is like, if you stop what you would normally do, like if you're with a bunch of friends doing something fun and you have to quit that to do this thing, it's getting in the way.
It's getting in the way. If your friends are all having a beer and you have it with them,
Yeah.
it's helping.
So it's like,
If you're leaving your friends to go get a beer,
Right.
that's a problem.
and then I remember that first couple days we did Heineken Factory, Bols, all this stuff, and then we hadn't smoked weed. And then the one day that I think when Jessica came in, we went to like 5 of those places, and you had to stop like every half hour. And I'm like, it was much better when we were just able to go to all these places and I feel like that affected you. Maybe you didn't see it, but
I might have.
I saw it because you didn't have to, even when you were podcasting, you would have to stop. Remember?
In fairness to defend me a little, you're 100% right. First of all, it was getting in the way.
Yeah.
I would see it at the Comedy Store where everyone goes smoke weed. I'm having a fun conversation. I'm like, well, they're all going to smoke. I got to smoke. I'm like, I'm leaving a good conversation for this. It's an addiction. But in fairness, since I am into weed or I was into weed, of course I wanted to see what the coffee shops look like out there.
No,
wanted
I
to
wasn't.
see 'em.
And that's probably the most because I even hung with you because we went to like 5 places in
Wrecked
the
us.
same day.
Yeah.
So it was like we were all trying to handle it, but it was like I don't know if it was before or after that, but I could tell you were just like what I said.
Yeah.
You were just like, yeah, we did get a lot done.
Lot more done. You could see the comparison. We went to all these places, Van Gogh, Bowls. We went to all these places,
Yeah.
and then when you're like, now you're slowing down. You're like, whoa,
Yeah,
it's very evident.
Which part is the distraction, So I just felt like that, and it's only because you recognize it in yourself. Like if you're a person that's like, when you talk to people, you go to where was that? Appleton, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
They're like, we wanted to go to the what's the magician? Houdini. We wanted to go to the Houdini Museum. It was closed, and we're like, what else is there to do here? And they're like, well, we got a bunch of bars. I was like, so that's all you do here is
Yeah.
just drink. So I don't know.
Yes,
I
the
just
answer is yes.
I just felt like when you find other things that are more interesting, because we both are curious about the world and curious about going to places, and you just don't want stuff getting away of that, or distracting you.
Yeah. Paul, I think this was an interesting podcast because of what we set up. So I was about to say in my head, I'm trying to be a good host. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, maybe we should cover the Amsterdam part too. But we did a little bit. I'm wondering if we should cover that too, or just stay in Switzerland and then get back to Amsterdam another time.
Well, I think this is more of like,
And because this is an overall thing about
Yeah.
how we really started traveling. Were you a big traveler before that Montreux trip?
no.
Yeah, me neither.
So my only trip was to when I was in high school, our basketball team went to Ireland, which was like amazing. We got to play all these different clubs
Yeah.
and stay with the families of the people that we played against.
I'm wondering if this trip was before or after my China trip. Do you remember? I think it might have been before.
I don't
I
know.
thought the China trip was the first one because every time I tell someone about China, I say, I told my agent, I told Justin, I was like, I want to see things. Help me out.
Right.
And then I was like, get me the order. But I was like, what made me want to see things? I think now it's this trip. I thought that was the first trip was China, but it's not. It's this. And then I got home and I told him, send me places.
Yeah, because China was Turner, right?
China was Turner Sparks. Yeah. Rule. He has to be. He's going to be on this podcast a bunch.
Yeah,
He'll
he's the best.
help me a lot.
He opened for my album in
Really?
the National Comedy Center. Yeah.
To the listeners out there, an album is a. Let's see where China was on here. I think it has. So this was 2013, right?
Yeah. December 2013 was Switzerland.
Oh shit. Let me go year. All photos by years. Here we go.
Because I feel like you went there when it got shut down, right?
27, 28, 29, 2012, 2013. I went there before it got shut down, but 2012. Let's see here. Where's China? Oh, no. Where's China? No, it's Renazisi. That's Vegas. 2014. So, yeah, this trip was before. There's me in China. That's June 2014. So this is the trip that made me go to China, that made me then keep going.
Nice.
This was so influential in my whole life.
Yeah. Me too.
Just having this talk of like, it wasn't just going. It was like the mindfulness you had of like, we should keep doing this.
But even when we were
This podcast doesn't exist if not for this talk.
right, and even I remember having like talks with you like late at night. We were talking about like where else we could go because Amsterdam wasn't like the automatic choice because we were just like because you set up the show there, like you set up Toomler.
Last minute. Do you remember when we went into that plum place what that big black Dutch guy said?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
So we go to this bar. It's like one of those bars in main strip in Amsterdam, and this just big African bouncer, and he just looks like I don't know if he checked our IDs, but it's just like
I don't think he did.
he's like, hey, how's it going, man? Come on in, and then he goes, shalom, my brother,
To me.
you.
It was one of those like, oh, I didn't realize how Jewish I was.
Yeah.
No,
You
I-
even said, why did he say that to me?
You're like, Ari, I got news for you. He was like, no, Ari, I got nose for you.
and then he named your special for you, Jew.
Jew. That's right. That's right. So, I mean, was there anything else in Switzerland? The Lake Geneva was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seeing the smoke on the water was cool. We got to find all our pictures from there, and then I'll give it to buddy. You can't lean on the camera.
Well, my old thing is like I know you're used to talking to other people, but I think people like to see how you ended up because that's what everyone always asks you. Like, how did you end up traveling? How did you end up?
It's this. I've quoted you so many times.
But that's-
in so many interviews I've quoted you.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because that's why I always want, like you said, for the first time, the Myanmar thing. You said you were scared, and so that's what keeps most people from traveling. So I was interested in seeing what actually scared you.
Well,
'cause
so
you
like
did
yeah,
all this
so like
stuff.
Montreux was set up for us. So
Yeah.
no fear there. Plus Switzerland, it's not a scary vibe, right?
Right.
But it's set up for us. They have a hotel waiting for us, picking us up from the airport. It's all set up. Amsterdam, you set up. My brother was already speaking French and German then, so he's
Right.
out there. So he was like, "I'll show you the train to take to meet your buddy."
Yeah.
And also people speak English. China was even set up. Turner picked me up from the airport. He told me, "Hey, it's all safe here. There's no violent crime here.
Right.
The punishments are too harsh. The embarrassment's too harsh." And I'm like, "Oh, great. Well, I'll see you later in that case." But it was set up. And Myanmar was the first one not set up. I'm landing with no one to greet
Yeah.
me on
That
a
is pretty
language and a
crazy.
culture I don't understand. I've never met a Buddhist before besides Duncan. You know? And so then it's like, yeah, I'm frightened.
Yeah. It's not
I've never-
something I would pick.
You know why I picked that one?
No.
So I narrowed down to Southeast Asia, to region.
Okay.
So could have gone to South America over here. Decided Southeast Asia. I wanted a cheap place
Right.
because I didn't have a lot of money. I had some. I was doing okay, but not a lot. Didn't have great negotiators for my show. So I was like, it's Southeast Asia or South America or Africa, but I'm way too frightened of that xenophobia. So then I was like, I researched which not licenses, which visas you need ahead of time and which you
Right.
can get at upon landing. Thailand you can get upon landing. Vietnam you need it ahead of time.
Right.
But Vietnam they go, okay, you have 6 months to use this for 1 month. For 1 month.
yeah.
So anytime in the next, so great. So I had the ones I needed. Myanmar I think was ahead of time. It doesn't matter. But I had all of them. I had Laos I never got to, Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines. I had them all.
That's the one we always talk about.
Yeah,
Bhutan.
But then all I did was when it was time to leave, didn't have my flight yet. I was going to get a one-way flight. A few days out, I just looked at who has the best weather. And Vietnam was like rain every day. So I'm like, skip.
Yeah.
Myanmar was the whole 10 days of clear.
That's
So
hilarious.
I'm like, okay, that one.
That's so crazy because I would always think for you, especially with the drug stuff.
Yeah. There's drugs up there.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't see
like
'em.
the places that you can really get in trouble. Like I remember I went to
Well, still the Golden Triangle is like right there. Between China, where is it? It's like Laos, Thailand, Myanmar? Or is it like up here? There's a Golden Triangle, right? What is that?
What does that mean?
The Golden Triangle of like, I think opium or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What is the Golden Triangle?
Which, by the way, I was told by someone close to the situation that
Parts of Burma, which is Myanmar, China, Laos, and Thailand.
Quincy Jones.
I owe that guy an
They
apology.
asked him. They asked him to do a a song about garbage. Because, he did the Sanford and Son theme.
Oh, that Quincy Jones.
So he wrote it on opium. And if you listen to it, you're like, I could see that.
No, that's not.
It's so, yeah, that's it. It's great, man. Might be the best TV theme song ever.
He had a lot of them.
You're welcome, Opium.
Yeah, you're welcome, Opium. Yeah, so it's all there.
But I remember going, I went to Kuwait.
Wow.
And
this is why I say you'll be back 100 times.
We stayed in this 5-star hotel. And then we're like, oh, let's get a couple drinks. Because it was for the USO, so they were putting us up. It was like Tinashe, some pop singer was with us.
Wow.
And so, we'll get a couple drinks. And they said, alcohol is punishable death by hanging. And I was like, or a Diet Coke. I'll take a Diet Coke.
I was just thinking maybe, but I'm not that much of a boozer, to be honest.
So that's what scares me is, a place like that there's no speed limit, but, you can get killed for having a beer, Yeah, exactly. That's why China and Russia still kind of freak me out a little bit. Those are probably the only two I'm scared of.
Yeah, but I smoked weed in China. They told me the cops don't know what it smells like because it's such a hard crime, and the locals don't do it that they don't even know what it smells like. They're like, you can smoke in front of cops.
Yeah, but see, you're a little nuts that way.
I'm a little nuts that way. Yeah.
But where did you actually get caught though? In Australia?
In Australia at the landing.
So what happened?
By a drug dog. The guy let me out of it. I had a this not happening story. The drug dog just sat and just stared at my bag. And I was like, oh boy. and then I was like, get out of here. He just wouldn't go. He's trained to not go. He smelled weed in there.
Oh, wow.
And then the border patrol came by and was like, hi, hello, sir. Can I talk to you? I was like, yeah, sure. Trying to play it cool. My heart's going a mile a minute. I mean, it's like, I'm going to jail. You can't traffic. It's a different thing than doing it. Trafficking. So in China, trafficking is punishable by death. Trafficking. Getting it is you might get kicked out or whatever, but trafficking. So they say if you get caught having a shipment come into China, they always try to shoot their way out. Because they're like, if I get caught, I'm hung.
Yeah.
So I may as well shoot all these cops.
Jesus.
That's my only way out. And he goes, do you have any drugs in there? I'm like, no. He goes, do you have an apple or a banana or something in there? He might be smelling fruit. And I was just trying to carefully think my way out of it. And I must have paused for 15 seconds. And I'm like, yes. And he goes, okay. All right. Enjoy your day.
Oh, good.
And I was like, I just had all my fucking cigars taken from Cuba. I didn't know how to talk my way out of that one.
Oh, yeah. You just went there, right?
I just got back on Saturday. I could have talked my way out of that one. Should have kept those cigars. I had a good time. Paul, was there anything else in Switzerland? The raclette. We got to cover raclette because that was such a cool dish.
So it's the beautiful woman who's running the thing takes us up to that room, and they just have all these dudes with these different plates, and they have this it's almost like a cartoon size half of wheel of cheese. And it's just a dude scraping it.
Boom.
Yeah, like that.
And so underneath that bar is just heat. So it goes under it, gets bubbly.
Yeah, and he's scraping it onto it's always meat, right? It's
salami.
Meat,
those Vidalia onions, salami, rolled up. It's like oh, here we go.
And then it just
potatoes. Here we go.
To the
Look
meat.
at that. That's it. And they just spread it right onto that.
Yeah, it was so good, man.
So I had it with my brother and his family afterwards, and they do it this way, where they have it on a little tray like that, and they put it right underneath. Oh, but look at that. They're scraping
that's
it.
The guy.
The scrape.
Our dude did the scrape.
Did you ever come with me to Raclette here?
No.
There was a store, a restaurant called Raclette.
I think you told me about it.
It was on Avenue A, and then I saw it take ads out in the back of cabs, and suddenly it went to 12th, and it became bigger. They had 2 chairs, no one was in it, and then they had like 10 tables. And man, on a cold day, me and Renaziz he said food poisoning, and I'm like, then how come me and your wife aren't sick? And he goes, oh yeah, good question. Like, you just got sick, buddy. They had a raclette place, and they go, second scrape? And you're like, yes, I would love a second scrape. But man, you got the poops after that.
But that was cheese. So just being in Switzerland,
eating,
and it was drinking Guinness in Ireland. It's it was just the best.
Yeah. Buddy, I would always have raclette again. If I see it, I'm just like, and it was such a, it's like what grilled cheese. It's what do they call that kind of food? Grilled cheese and tomato soup. They call it like comfort food.
Yeah.
This is such a comfort food. Hot cheese.
It's like the
that's what the plate would look like. Vidalia onions,
Yeah, that's
a little
good.
one of those whatever pickles, gherkin
man.
pickles, and then some stuff under there. Wow.
Well, do you ever have those things where it's like with cigars? I'm kind of like that too, where it's like, wouldn't it be nice to have a cigar after the show? And just thinking about it makes you feel better.
You want a
Like
cigar?
that's what I think about with Raclette. I'm just like, if I just think about having
something out of
I
it.
get
Yeah.
happier.
Wow.
Even if it's not in reach, I just think about I could get Raclette after this.
What else did we do there? Montreux. I want to see it was the what's his name from Queen?
Oh, Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
So there's the statue,
Yeah.
and
That
like
one.
Bowie.
We have a
that's-
picture in front of that. Don't we? We must.
Yeah, I do.
You do. Look at that. That's him.
So the whole thing that's interesting about this is like Freddie Mercury is like a real. I don't know about you, but I loved Freddie Mercury before all the movies and all
Oh
the shit.
yeah. I mean, dude, did you wear that on purpose?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't actually.
Queen tour 1980.
I actually have I have that T-shirt with him on the front doing that pose.
Get a shot of that. Wow. Oh, that's cool.
But I remember. I always thought he was like underrated.
I mean, I had the
You
Queen
know?
Greatest Hits, right? That was the album everybody had. Queen's Greatest Hits on cassette.
Right, but as far as like lead singer, you're like
So
he's so
underrated.
underrated.
Because you see him at Wembley or whatever, and you're like, with that white tank top and like white tight, and you're like,
Right.
oh, this is the definition of rock star.
Yeah, and he's just, showman, but also like became like he really wanted to be like an opera singer. And so he wrote like an opera for this famous opera singer, and he got to do a duet with her. Like
Oh, really?
in Barcelona. Remember the Olympics in Barcelona?
Uh-huh.
He wrote the themes, like the I guess the anthem, like Barcelona. Yeah, that's the statue right there, man.
Wow. And then the smoke on the water.
Yeah, so that the casino where the recording studio is caught on fire, and so who's the group?
Deep Purple.
Deep Purple wrote "Smoke on the Water" about that fire.
Images, smoke on the water. Because I want to see, because it was smoky. The lake was smoky all the
Yeah.
time. And we couldn't decide if it was smoke from the fire at the recording studio or what he was singing about. Or if it was just this smoke that would come up from like the mist that would come up.
But the famous thing is like the jazz festival in Montreux is like
Massive.
if you go to like Apple Music, there's like 9,000 albums recorded live at Montreux Jazz Fest. Like everybody was there.
And this is right here is that's the wow. Yeah, it was like this smoke would come up. It was like mist. There was a castle we went to where you get to poop right into the water through a hole. Remember
What
that?
about did you do the train thing or no?
The train?
Yeah.
No.
It's like a train.
We went up to the castle. It was on the corner, and there was a hole where it's just a regular toilet, and it would just go down and just plop right into Lake Geneva.
Oh wait, hold on, I gotta break real quick.
What are you doing? You farting? What are you doing?
Get my ginger ale.
Oh. You want a cigar?
I was tapping that bottle.
Wow. What else do you remember about Switzerland? I'm sorry we got so sidetracked with the other stuff, but like it was all important stuff. Next podcast, we're just gonna get to like just Kuwait or just whatever.
Well, Switzerland also we met.
What
Who
else
do we
do you
meet?
remember?
Oh yeah, we met those sketch guys.
That was interesting because they told us the BBC. Go ahead.
Oh, it's a group of British dudes who basically they were like the Jackass of the UK.
Yeah. They said one interesting thing I remember where they were like, so we're on the BBC, which is a state-funded media, but we make fun of the government in our
Right.
sketch show. So it's interesting that in the UK, they pay you to make fun of them.
But the cool thing is all of their pranks started with the idea of basically if you have a workman's vest on, like an orange or a yellow vest, you can get away with murder. So they all of their pranks were like they went to the Palace in London or whatever. They went to like any place they went to, they could just start doing stuff. You know, it's almost like a Banksy thing where if you had like an orange vest, they wouldn't even bother you if you were like painting or doing something. So that was like all of their pranks were based on like them just doing stuff in public and not getting in trouble for it.
Yeah, they had that here. I think it was, I'm not getting the name. I think it was called like Art in Art Places or Art in something places. And these guys would get work vests and change out in the bus stops, all use the same key to put like those big photos in there.
Oh, okay.
And so once they realized that, they were like, we got someone who used to work there. We copied their key and we all made it. They put on work vests and then daylight with cops going by. They would just change it out to their own art.
Oh, that is smart.
Yeah. And then it was just, and then they close it and no one would even thought it was wrong.
Yeah.
They'd leave it there for a month.
But it's like even if a guy in like a yellow vest walked in your building, you'd be like, oh, he's doing something. You
Yeah,
wouldn't be
exactly.
like-
You just trust him. Forget it. Art in something places. I used to follow him online. So yeah, there was that. I remember those guys were cool enough.
Yeah.
I remember meeting Loiso and this one other guy I became friendly with, but I forgot his name now.
Yeah, they were like, there was a South African,
South Africa. Yeah.
like French comic show. So that was like the big show the night before. They were in the big theater. We were just in that little room.
Yeah.
And I've got tape of that too. That used to be on one of my promo things, is you introducing me.
In Montreux at the
Yeah.
banquet hall.
This next guy is on my basketball team in the Comedians Basketball League in Los Angeles. He's a starting point guard. And despite looking fat and out of shape, he's pretty good. He's also been on the Craig Ferguson show multiple times, which you guys probably have never heard of. But it's a television show. Comes on at about 10:45 a.m. here. It's a late night program in America, and it's pretty good, and he's done it a bunch. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Please give it up for Mr. Paul Morrissey, everybody. Let him hear it.
Keep it going for Ari, everybody. He almost got it right. Let him hear it.
God, I don't even know what else there was in Switzerland. I mean, I went skiing in Zermatt, which is crazy. I mean, it was some of the
So
best
when
skiing.
did you, but you don't even remember getting hurt?
I didn't. It was later. I had that thing from skiing in you were right to warn me. From skiing in I've only broken something twice. It was then in Whistler after Vancouver. Went to Whistler, cracked myself. Then I had to come back here. The guy was experimenting on me, Canadian fucking healthcare. He was like trying to show us, like, he goes, we don't do these hard casts anymore, but since this is an American, he didn't say that, but like, we're going to do one for him. So they gave me a hard cast. He goes, keep it dry. I'm like, keep it dry. I'm going to New York in February. How am I going to keep it dry? They're like, plastic bag. And then I got back and the doctors here cut it off and gave me a whatever, but they gave me one of those wheelie things. That was then.
And then what was the other? Remember?
Broke my wrist racing O'Neill.
So that was the other one that I picked you up from the doctor's office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm instrumental in your life,
You
man.
are, buddy. You are.
But by the way, so have you been doing anything athletic lately? Like, what do you do? No basketball, no anything like that?
Skating a couple times, but not enough.
Well, if you want to play in the basketball game Sunday.
New York Comedy Festival.
Yeah, they're doing it at LaGuardia College.
Oh, really? Damn, no, I'm leaving. I'm going to visit my parents. I'll come back Sunday.
You
playing in it?
I played in the Netflix one.
What people don't know is Paul Morrissey played Division II 5 years?
Well, I played at every level.
Yeah. But basketball, he was great. He looks like a piece of shit. Like anyone who sees
Did
this
you notice I lost weight, though?
No, because you're still fat. So you haven't gotten out of your category. I know that.
I think my face looks thinner now.
Let's wrap this up. Let's think what else you did in
Switzerland. Well, so for me, I'll show you the video in a minute, but so you could go in the studio where David Bowie and Queen recorded Under Pressure.
Yeah.
Which is now a museum in that part of the casino. So not only do they have all the lyric sheets, all of Freddie Mercury's stuff, but you can go in the actual studio and mix the sound from the album.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So I have video from that.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, check out Paul Morrissey on where's your social media? Paul Morrissey?
PaulHasAWebsite.com.
Paul has a website. That's right. PaulHasAWebsite.com. That's Ashtray's Foundation Cigars. They gave me one.
I feel like the Celtics just won. Red Auerbach.
Yeah.
Do you know the whole thing behind the cigar? It's interesting. So basically, whenever the Celtics would win, Red Auerbach was the coach, and he would light up a cigar, and people thought it was at the end of the game as like a celebratory thing.
Yeah.
But what it was he, like, let's say you're the Lakers,
Yeah.
and you cut the lead from like 20 to like 8, and there's 2 minutes left, and all of a sudden you look over the bench and Red lights up the cigar.
Rubbing it in like we have this.
He's like,
that was Steph Curry's version of this.
you don't have a fucking chance. Yeah, don't kid yourself.
Like,
It's
oh,
over.
no, he's lighting it? Yeah. It's the fat lady
Imagine
singing.
that. You just look over the guy and he's just like,
Confident.
good luck.
Wow. And he's like, I still have an 8-point lead with 2 minutes left. You guys have lost.
This is the Celtics, man. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. I always thought it was like in the locker room at
me
the
too.
end
So wait, what you have video of that? You have a picture of that?
of the music thing. Yeah.
That's pretty cool to see all that.
This is me mixing Montreux studio. Bring up Freddie. Bring up the drums.
That's what they say. Can't you?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So wait, you're mixing however you want?
Yeah, you can just do the different tracks. Like the drums are on this one, and the
That's pretty cool.
yeah, that was fun.
At this legendary place. No one understood. It's like this legendary like record. People will go there on vacation. Like, let's spend a month or two out there, get some air, look at the mountains, and make some masterpiece.
Yeah, it's so great.
Oh, there's us at the baseball game. That's it. No, that's a different one.
See, look at my face there. You don't think I look different now?
You're a fat fuck there. You're disgusting. I still have that hat. No, that's not that game. That's a different game. That's not the game from the.
That's when Kareem was on my flight.
Was I with you? I saw Kareem on a flight.
Did you?
Yeah. Was I
Oh,
with
wait.
you?
Here's the remember that?
Tailgate. Who is that? Is that Fahim in the bottom middle?
Fahim.
Kareem, Fat Renazisi.
And we
You, thinner, me, hairer.
remember you guys paid this guy to like party in his house.
It was his driveway. It was great.
And remember he like asked us for beers after like
He's like, can I get one? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess. He was just like, hey, cool guys. I'm like, we paid you $50.
oh yeah, there's your flip phone.
Is that? I missed that shirt. I lost it somewhere in Ecuador, and I'm so mad about it.
I think that's spring training though,
That's
right?
spring training. That might be Tampa, where Tampa's actually going to play this year at the spring training site. That's the one. That's us. Anyway,
Which
down there a little bit is when I was like, this is the year we're definitely going to win. Is the year they stole it from us. Houston stole it from us. I was like, for Brody. Brody just died. We took a picture of spring training. I'm like, this is our year. Me and Laritz.
yeah, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was when we were still doing
I got to get my hair back. I got to get surgery and get some hair. What is this? You just searched for me?
yeah, I told you it was
Those are the girls.
yeah, that's the podcast.
Those are the girls. How do you know a Jewish?
Two Jewish girls sitting behind us.
Oh my God. What are you doing?
Was that what Instagram looked like back then?
Yeah, it's wild. That's us outside. I had to make a decision to get a jersey. It was either
yeah.
Andujar or Judge. They were both rookies. We didn't know who was going to be better.
Right.
Was it Andujar? Who was the other option I had?
Oh, was it the catcher? The
There was someone else who was like, ooh, and he was
Matt
in the,
Sanchez?
he had some votes for Rookie of the Year.
Hi, guys. Let me interrupt today's episode of You Be Trippin' to deliver a service announcement from the podcast itself, You Be Trippin'. Juan Soto, go fuck yourself. Now let's get back to the episode.
Oh, there's you, Amsterdam.
Where's that in Amsterdam?
That was like our hotel lobby or something.
Wow. Still have those socks?
You do?
Yeah, just saw them yesterday. Damn,
that's the squad with their snuggies.
I gave everybody snuggies. And that's where Jeff Dye, we were waiting to play. He told me some story about stealing, what's his name's jersey.
Jersey, yeah.
And I was like, bro, I have a storytelling show coming. I would love you to tell that story on there. It was just like a story from the sidelines.
Yeah, that was
Adam Ray, ball hog. I'm glad he's doing better now that he's sharing the ball. He's having guests on. Back then it was like, the black hole of Adam Ray.
the worst.
Turn around double team jumpers all the time.
And we almost saved him from like getting murdered because Willie Mack would have killed him. What about this?
Yeah, that's me after 1-0 to Nick Yusuf. I didn't eat breakfast. I was so done.
And you didn't have socks,
Didn't have sex playing with Chuck Taylors. I took it too lightly.
no shirt. I had the referee.
In West Hollywood, I came back in that game hard. And then
You
couldn't
did.
pull
You
it
had
out.
like five.
I
You
hit
have like
3
five
threes
shots in a row.
Yeah. And then Nick is like, oh boy, he'd already lit the cigar. Okay, let's wrap this up. This is for a different thing. Anything else with Switzerland that we're missing?
Switzerland.
The people were nice enough. The food was that. It was my first time gone somewhere like that, not
Yeah.
Israel with family. So it was like everything was new and unique. We didn't leave the confines of Montreux, but it was like people seemed nice enough, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it's expensive or not.
It's a little French.
Little
I
French
think
for sure.
stuff was expensive, but that was the other great thing is that when you get it hooked up like that, all the meals were taken care of.
Right, so we could eat the glue wine and shit like that. I was like, all right, we had to pay for that, but it wasn't much.
Yeah, I mean, they had the festival going on, so it was like, we have this dinner set up for you guys at this place or that place.
So like, great, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're poor, where's the free meal is always. It's not even like, I don't feel like going back. Like, we have to get back.
Yeah.
We're getting the meal.
And also, wasn't there like 5 industry people? It was like as many industry guys as comics.
Yeah.
That were just gravy training that trip.
Oh, God, it was fun. That was so
Remember there was
fun.
like the guy from New York Comedy Club or the Stand Up New York. He was like the
Benji?
booker at Stand Up New York. He was supposed to be like one of the guys.
Donnie.
Then there was another guy from Daily Motion or whatever. There was like 5 industry guys that were just like, I'm getting a free trip too.
Yeah, why not? Why not? And that's my advice to anybody. If they fly you out for work, tell them like, hey, can you fly me back from Germany? Hey, can you fly me, which I did another time, flew back from Berlin from another place.
Yeah.
We don't care. We got to have a flight there and a flight back, whatever. Just let
Yeah.
us know the date.
Especially if you're going that far.
Yeah. Go somewhere else.
But what's your
Or
longest...
say stay an extra week and then fly back from even that same city. But like,
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to be there for 2 days for a conference. So I'm supposed to be there Monday and Tuesday. You're going to fly back Wednesday. Can you fly back the next Wednesday? And you're on your own there, but you got there.
Yeah.
What's my what? What are you going to say?
What's your... Because I do have as much as I love traveling, I have a max of time I want this trip to be. What's your like max to be away?
I mean, the dream is never come home.
But like if you go to Australia, what's the premium amount of time you would be down there?
I got to be there for a month.
Yeah?
Got to be. If
See,
I'm going all the way to Australia,
I think a month is too long.
I did the Great Ocean Road. I was able to do things. When I go to Europe, it's a 4 to 6 week thing, and I only do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I want the option of staying in that city longer or go to the next city earlier.
I still have this thing where even coming home for like a day refreshes me.
Oh, I don't get clear in my brain until
Yeah.
about 12 days in.
Yeah.
And then I don't feel attached to this place I was. I feel floating. That's a feeling I like.
Yeah, because I just did Australia. So like the
How
first,
long yeah.
I did like 4 days in Sydney, and I was just getting
On
into
jet
the
lag?
groove. And then when I went to Melbourne,
Melbourne.
that was like amazing, and they just kept adding more and more shows.
You don't have
And
any Australian money, do you? Should bring any back with you?
Nah.
Damn.
I just traded in actually.
Damn. This is my first trip when I went to Australia in June that I never touched an Australian bill. It's so credit card forward.
Yeah.
I never touched. I want to get one for the wall. I'm trying to get all these places that the podcast has been.
I got Canadian money.
I got Canadian money. They don't love it in Cuba, by the way. They're really way rather American.
Yeah, because Canadians can go there all the time for like spring break.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
stuff.
no, Canadian's not worth as much. No, I know it's 0.71 to the dollar. They're like 0.5. We
Yeah.
don't want it.
Well, even Australia is like, they really try to ream you on that. I think it's 61 or
and
70,
down.
something like that. It really is like a tough.
Wait, hold on. Let's finish up Switzerland.
All right.
This podcast, it's an hour-long podcast. It's probably been over 2.5. So I don't remember anything else in Switzerland unless you do. I remember the castle a little bit. We're gonna have to go through our pictures and give them to this guy to get as much as we possible.
And we'll have some video too.
Well, some videos.
Do you remember anything about your show? Because you just hosted, yeah.
I hosted. I remember being good enough, good, decent crowd, but nothing like wow, what a time. Just like it was fine.
But it was supposed to be like, here's Ari Shaffir. Did you ever feel like
I
these
think
people
I had
have
two
no
fans.
idea where I am?
I thought I had two people. A couple showed up, and they're like, "We know you." The rest were just like, "Heard Americans are here," which is also a big. It's changed now because comedy's more popular. That used to be the main credit. In Australia, all the credits were from America.
Right.
That was like, "Whoa, I'll go see that." Now it's like you gotta have a name.
Yeah.
When I was going to Australia, I was the only one going. Oh no, I mean besides like Jim, not Jim Jeffries, but like Jimmy Carr, Sloss. There's a few guys who would like go.
Yeah.
Russell, obviously.
Well, Arj lives down
Arch
there
lives
now.
there. Eddie Ift lived there. But like other people would go. Like that's too far to go. You can't even make as much as Kansas City. Why would you go?
Yeah.
Now everybody goes. So here's the question I ask everybody. Two questions. It's travel tips, just general travel tips, or specifically about Switzerland, and what country's gnawing on your mind next?
Gnawing on my mind?
Like, where do you want to go?
Well, I think travel tips is like if you learn how to pack light, and it did take me years. Like even for that trip, I think we did get luggage and
Overpacked.
check bags and all
And
this
to take
kind
a
of shit.
train was such a fucking lugging it around shit. Winter's harder.
Now, that's what you have to think about is like when you're changing hotels for a month trip, do you want 4 bags with you, all that kind of shit? So I'm good now where if I go somewhere for 2 days, I still need my carry-on and my backpack, but if I go for like 2 weeks, I can pack the same amount. Like I'm pretty good about that.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to be like, oh shit, I should have brought that, or
You have to be okay with washing your socks or underwear in a sink. Like once in a while, where they're going to get pretty clean with just like dish soap or something. Like get them clean enough so you can rewear them once.
And do you wear? Oh, so I pack. I'm a sneaker guy, so the easiest Nikes to pack are Jordan 1s, low top,
Lows, yeah.
and you can pack your socks inside.
Into them, shove those in. Absolutely, that's a good travel tip.
Yeah.
Fill up your sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I travel.
Especially if you bring extra. A lot of people don't.
I would
Like,
not. I bring the shoes I'm wearing,
Yeah.
maybe flip flops, and maybe hiking shoes. I wouldn't take my hiking boots anywhere, even if I need them. It's like it's too big. Or I'll wear the boots on the airplane. But generally, the pants I'm wearing, the shoes I'm wearing, because those are big space items.
Yeah. And then as far as like what country is next?
Yeah. What do you think? Do you have plans?
No, I don't. I saw that Nate Craig did Denmark, and when I was in Japan, there was a bunch of people from Denmark, and the guy's like, "Hey, you do really well in Denmark. You should come. You know, we're big comedy fans."
They are. This is a decent comedy.
You been
scene.
there?
Yeah, me and Bobby Kelly went for a festival in Copenhagen Comedy Festival.
Oh, yeah?
It's a 1-year festival. We met Ari Eljon there. This like guy who started Icelandic comedy.
Oh, okay.
It ruled. Went to Noma, that crazy like the best restaurant in the world for 3 out of 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got in. They were like, "Ooh, Americans! Like, we'll bump you to the top of the wait list." And
What
they
was the show like though? Was it?
decent at kind of a movie theater place? But I've gone back to Copenhagen, and by the way, also, excuse me if I'll leave Spain out, but they might be best weed in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, better than Amsterdam because Amsterdam became a bit cheap because it's like for tourists that come in and out. They don't need whatever. But
Right.
Christiania is like, it was great. It was great.
What would you suggest? Because you know my list. Where
You,
what
oh well,
else should I
you
go?
would love because you're not like an adventure traveler.
As
I mean,
far
like
as,
you're not going to Afghanistan to meet with like the ISIS and like talk to them. You know,
No.
that's like what I mean by adventure travelers, like danger travelers.
Oh no.
But the trip we had in Amsterdam, you could have that in Copenhagen. Go visit some old sites, beautiful museums. Christiania, you have to go to. It's the most amazing anarchist village
Yeah.
It's like free. It's free Christianity. It's freestanding, like village inside in Copenhagen. The bike lanes, everybody knows how to use real fast. The canals, you would love it.
But what show? Like, so there's no comedy clubs.
There might be. I don't know any.
What about Germany? That's the other one.
I mean, Berlin has a great comedy scene.
Yeah.
Great. Amsterdam has the best in Europe.
Right.
Amsterdam, and everybody's filling up shows now. Amsterdam, just the house shows, pack out every night.
Yeah.
Amsterdam has the best. Germany has an amazing one, and it's people from all over the world performing.
Because this might be it. Because this is so in July.
Berlin, I mean, yeah.
July, I was on Jim Jeffries' podcast, and we were talking about traveling.
Jim, come do this podcast.
And he was like, "You've never been to Australia?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Here's what you do: go to Melbourne Comics Lounge,
Comics
go to
Lounge
Sydney
is one of the
Comedy
best
Store,
clubs in
and
the
then
world.
Brisbane Sit Down." So I ended up doing 2 of those on this trip.
Did you do sit down?
No,
yeah.
I didn't have enough time.
Brisbane is for trash people. But like, you got to lean into it and be it.
Yeah. Everyone said you got to experience it. Like even the guys in Melbourne are like, you should go up there just to see.
Buddy,
what the
you
people
got
are
you
like.
got to start pronouncing Melbourne right.
Oh, Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's BIN.
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Real quick.
Melbourne. All right.
Or actually, it's MELB''N, like Melbourne.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't say Melbourne. You're embarrassing yourself, and you're embarrassing me, and you're actually it's rude to this podcast.
No, I make fun of them for how they say no.
Say it.
They say no.
No.
They add an O and an R to it.
That's so much. That's so much.
No.
Like, are you not done saying no yet? You're still going? Well, those are good, Paul. This is a great one. It really reminded me of a fucking great trip and
how we all
and how we
started.
started this.
Yeah, this is a great journey.
How
man.
do you feel after that? After having been to all these places, how are you feeling now? Looking back at this now, like I'm feeling really reminiscent.
It's and that's why when we talked about doing this, I'm just like, man, we did because not only we do a lot of Yankee stuff and we've done a lot of podcasts, but then the travel stuff we really bond on because I get excited for you. You know,
Yeah, I get excited for you too.
Yeah.
When you're like, I'm here, I'm like, whoa. And then I'll like leave and I'll go look up that country.
Yeah.
And look up different things there. It's like not for any reason. It just gets me to go wiki it.
And I remember when you were in Romania, there was like a sound tech that I was working with that was from Romania. And he's like, which place is he working at? And he like looked it up and he told me, he was like, yeah, it's mostly DJs there, but yeah, it'd be cool to do a live show there.
So the underground scene, the weird thing about Romania, I should save this, but I met the underground music scene in Berlin. It's electronic,
Yeah.
100%. That's the king. It's post punk in Romania, in Bucharest at least. It's post punk. So these underground like clubs where you do drugs, it's like Susie Sue and the Banshees, that kind of sound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is like very interesting. And I met a club owner there, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're from America?" And like, yeah, I'm like, keep in mind this was a few years ago. Tony hadn't blown up yet, Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
And they go, we want to bring one comic out here. And I don't know if you know him, but we'd love to get him. And I was like, who? He goes, do you ever watch Kill Tony? I'm like, yeah, I've been on there. And he goes, do you know William Montgomery? He's our favorite. We'd love to get him out here. And I'm like, I'll talk to him.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Romania, Eastern Europe, I want to explore all of.
Yeah.
They're wildlings. They are untamed out there.
But as long as like they understand somewhat, I mean, you have the show, so they
speak
watch
English.
stuff.
No, they speak English. And at this point now, the internet has brought everybody together.
Yeah.
They all know what American comedy is. It's the king, and they want to be part of just an American style comedy. They just don't get it as much,
Right.
so they love it.
That's why you should do Japan, man.
Why?
Because they have that English speaking club. It's have you been there?
No,
Oh, you'd
it's
love it.
definitely on my list.
You would love it, man. It's so different from any other place in Asia. It's just so unique.
It's number one in China, number one in Asia,
What's that?
number one Asian,
Number one Asian?
as ranked by Asians.
Is it?
Yeah,
Well, it's just so like
even the Chinese, like we hate them because of how many we had from them, but meanwhile at the same time, like they're like, nah, they're better than us. So
But it's like if it's its own thing, you know what I mean? Like they just come up with like they have all these like mascots that are famous for like no reason, and like
it's its own.
all this art is just creative, and then they have Godzilla out of nowhere. That's the perfect thing. Is like where does Godzilla come from? You know, like that's just some.
Yeah, where's that myth?
It's just like on top of a building downtown. And they have that Shibuya crossing where it's like the busiest crossing in the world.
Oh, I want to go to that.
That's where the club is. Yeah,
I want to go to that. I want to get. Did you get shoved into a train with like a sardine with a pole?
No, but
I want to do that.
But they tell you to shut up on the plane or on the train, which is great. Like I
Great.
took the train from the
Jews would love
airport.
that place. Yeah.
You have to have headphones on. You can't be on speakerphone. And if you're talking too loud, they'll tell you no talking.
Different than China.
Yeah.
Somebody's just going, "Bling, bling, bling, bling," and you're like, dude, what the fuck? And everyone else like, what are you mad at? I'm like, "Bling, bling, 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 bling."
The only bad thing was I watched Oppenheimer on the flight to Japan.
All right.
And I didn't do it on purpose, but I was just like, oh, this is weird. And then I told them I felt bad, and then they haven't released Oppenheimer in Japan yet. And so I'm like, well, you guys know how it ends, right?
Like my grandfather did. All right, Paul, this is fucking great.
Yeah, good catching up, man. And
Good catching up.
Congratulations on your on everything, man.
Thank you.
This new podcast.
I mean, I've had people like, "Why are you doing?" Like Rogan's like, what? I'm like, dude, I don't think you understand how much I love hearing about travel. This one, obviously, we both did, but like, just hearing about people's trips, hearing about your trips in general, I'm like engrossed. Tell me about your kid, and I'm tuning out. You know, I mean, people do that all the time. It's like, oh, they learned to say these words. I'm just like, oh, well, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You tell me about a trip to Kuwait, and I am in.
Yeah.
So whatever I got less interested in Skeptic Tank, I'm far more interested in this.
So I'll tell you the first, and you can put this in or not. So the first night I go to Australia.
Yeah.
I'm doing Sydney, this Happy Endings comedy club.
Yeah.
Which is where there's like this famous thing that Sinatra got trapped in Australia. Did you hear about this?
No.
So they love him in Australia. He went down there, and then he was dating Mia Farrow or somebody at the time, and all this paparazzi was following him around. And he's like, you broads are like hookers. You do this for money, like saying it to the reporters. And so the unions got all mad at him. So they're like, we're not even going to gas up his plane. He's going to be stuck here. So he had to apologize to the union head.
Just to get out of Australia.
But it was 3 days. And he was stuck in Melbourne.
Nice.
Snuck to Sydney.
Yeah.
And like obviously had some kind of mafia connection or something. So he stayed in like some plush hotel for like 3 days. But for 3 days he snuck to this jazz bar and did shows. And that's where I performed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm doing shows here. There's two like beautiful blondes in the front row, and I think they might be a couple.
Yeah.
And they're a little off. And so, but fine. And then we go upstairs. I'm with the other kind of closing act, and we're just talking to them. And they're just telling us that, like, they used to date the same guy, and they became roommates, blah, blah, blah. And then I get the lowdown that they've been on ketamine the whole time.
What?
And so they're like, hey, do you want to come to dinner with us? And it was a hard thing to like find something to eat late. So they're like, no, there's this place, Cafe Roma. It's an Italian place. It's amazing in Sydney.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of
It
it.
was served until like 1 o'clock. So they're like, come with us. So we all get drinks. We all hang out. And then I'm like, what's the deal here? What's going on? So ends up like they pay for the meal. Both like kissed me as they're leaving, and then I went back to my hotel. I was like, "This is my first night in Australia. This is fucking amazing."
You just got
man.
treated by a fucking ketamine junkie.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, Paul Morrissey, check him out. Paul has a website.com is his website for all his tour dates, and follow him on Twitter. We got 10.4 thousand followers. Let's see if we can get you to 20,000.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Instagram.com/Paul has a website. Yeah. Oh, there you are with Papa. The Comedy Store. Where's that? Oh, that's Australia.
Yep.
Yeah. Great club too. But man, those Comics Lounge guys,
Yeah, they're the best.
Grant and Dan.
They love you, man.
I love them too.
They're
I love them too. I went to State of Origin with them this year. I went to a Little League game for one of their nephews.
Wait, what was the one they
Under
told
11.
They told me the story about you wearing the jersey
Yeah.
and like some guy like he was a fan, but then he saw you were wearing the jersey and got mad at you.
Because I was wearing a Queensland jersey.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like, fuck off. I don't care.
And then they took me to that what you call it because of you.
What? Oh! Yeah, that little diner place. The late night fucking rest stop place. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Where all the fucking workers. I got this cup from State of Origin. It's in the gift bag they give you with the tickets.
Cool.
Yeah. But I have a jersey. I have a Queensland jersey. Nick Cody almost got in a fight with somebody. They're like, wrong jersey, man. He goes, it's not wrong if you want to win. He just went right at him. Nick Cody rules. He was like, I'm getting yelled. I'm getting called an F-bomb by just random people with kids. They're calling me gay.
But those guys all play American football. So
Yeah.
we're talking about sports the whole time.
Cowboy fans, same as me.
And then the one guy's a Yankee
fan, same as me. Quality, class, style.
And then they all clean the tables with their shirts off after the show.
Dude, those guys rule. The whole club rules. They told the guy once, we got to wrap this up. They told the guy once, he got too drunk. It was my first or second time there. And every time they bring me offers now, like, oh, no, we'll do a theater there. I'm like, guys, appreciate the offer. I'm going back to Comics Lounge. It's big enough.
Yeah.
The guys rule. I have no interest in going anywhere else.
Yeah.
If I could play an arena, I'll still add a show at the Comics Lounge.
Right.
But, and I can't, I never will. But like, so they had a guy who got too drunk before I went on. And they had to like get him out. It's whatever. It's a comedy club. It's no big deal. You got too drunk. I think he threw up. And so like they excused him. They quickly cleaned it. And they're like, you can't. You come back tomorrow, but you can't be here. And then they go. They just told him. He's like, I'm sorry. He goes, well, Ari's not going on now. And he's like, what? No. They're like, yeah. Ari found out somebody threw up, and he's not going on now because of you. And then he's like, no, I'm so sorry. They're like, yeah, man, well, you fucked up. You kind of ruined the show for all these people. He's back there. He's saying he's leaving, so we got to drive him home. So you got to get the fuck out now. The guy was like crying because he thought he ruined the show for 400 people.
It's hilarious.
Those guys rule so hard. And they were like telling me, and there's not even an ounce of me. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like 100%. What a great move.
And then at the end, they drink wine with Gatorade. Do you see when they mix that? They
They have
just
the
line up
VBs.
like 9 glasses of some kind of wine, and then they put Gatorade in it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they're all football players. So they want to get
Was there
hydrated.
any like Eastern European guy there who made you do shots?
No. There's a guy from Alabama. Canadian guy.
Black hair, a little not crazy short, somebody.
Well, the guy with the fake hair is the one that took me to
Oh, yeah.
Brett.
Brett
Yeah,
rules
yeah.
Too. Brett's wild. Brett's a nut.
Yeah, he was fun. And then who else? Yeah, but the rest of I mean, they filmed that movie Ricky Stenicki there at the
Yeah.
club. So like John Cena was like,
So that's why
Filming there and stuff.
Santino went back because he was there for that.
Yeah,
And he was
yeah.
like, no, I like this club. Let's go. Norman did a theater and then rushed across town to finish up just our local showcase show.
yeah. I mean, for me,
Comics on rule.
did you do? So there was a thing called the Spleen, which is like their hip like Monday show,
Yeah.
and then Arj was there. So then
I
he's
should have.
like,
I was just too jet lagged. Every night I was like passing out by 8 o'clock. It was really bad. Those first
well,
few
he was
days.
like, so Arj is like, I do the showcase on Tuesday. You should just come down there. And I hadn't. I
You
haven't
saw him
talked to
again this
those guys.
time?
What's that?
You saw Arj again?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I saw him. So we did Monday, Tuesday together, and then I headlined Wednesday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Then did the basement club before that because you don't get on until like 9:30 or something. So, but then Saturday I got on earlier and it was killer. Like I could have gone for an hour and a half.
God,
it was
they rule.
great.
They're such a good audience. And you see these dudes, like it was like 4 or 5 dudes, and they're all drinking wine.
Yeah.
Instead of drinking shots or beers or whatever, it's like just red wine is like a normal. So they have like 2 or 3 bottles for like
Right.
25-year-old like fratty kids
Yeah.
because they're so into Pinot there.
Well, I did a thing about stubby holders
Yeah.
because like what koozies are.
Yeah.
So that's their stubby holder. And I was like, a stubby holder sounds like it's a condom for like a chode, which is like a dick that's wider than it is long.
All right, we got to wrap this up. We're not even talking about Switzerland anymore.
man.
Buddy, thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me, buddy.
I
It's
mean,
good to
not
see
just
you.
for this fucking podcast, but thank you for fucking changing my fucking course of my life.
Hey, you too, man. It's I think we both benefited from this, and like, it's always good to have guys that like, you know, there's a lot of jealousy in comedy. There's a lot of weird stuff like that, but I was always happy when you got all the stuff that you do, you know, and so I appreciate that you were like always supportive of me and like helpful and stuff, you know.
Yeah, the guys you start with, there's just like different camaraderie. I didn't start with you, but like knew you before for sure.
Yeah, we talk about that, like what's better, older friends or newer friends? And sometimes the newer ones appreciate you more. So we kind of met halfway through, so we were both kind of already doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't have the same baggage you have with all those Comedy Store guys.
Yeah, you get into a fucking, like you're still competitive about the coffee shop you didn't get booked at, you know?
Or this guy used to get up on Mondays when I didn't.
Yeah,
and all that
exactly,
kind of stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm better than him. He's like, yeah, I know. He sells cars now. You're like, I still hate him. Yeah. All right. Well,
cool, man. Thanks
nice.
again.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, everybody, that is the episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, like I said in the bumper and the dates before, like this is why I started traveling. That deal we made, I don't think of a more influential discussion I had than me and Paul over Raclette saying, hey, what are we doing, Ari? And you got to remember, this isn't like, I'm doing great now. I wasn't doing great then. I was doing good, but like, I remember sending a letter, a postcard to, by the way, if you want to send postcards to me from your travels, I would love to have them. 151 First Avenue, number 49, New York, 10003. Send them to You Be Trippin, anywhere from around the world. Send your postcards. I read it on the Patreon when I do it, which is less than I should. Yeah, we're like, let's go. This thing is bringing us places. We should go see the world. Oh, so I sent a postcard. I was in Iceland. My first gig in Iceland. And I'm like, so different comics relate to different like parts of, I'm just telling you insider baseball, different parts of the comedy world. Like a lot of guys just wanted to be stars forever. And Hinchcliffe is a good example of that. Bert is a good example of that. They like want to be part of the party. And that's who they relate to. I'm a door guy. And I'm just always going to be a door guy. That was the most influential time in my comedy, and like that's just who I am. But I sent a postcard to the employees of the Comedy Store. I remember this now. The phone guys, really, because that's where I started working on the phones. Duncan Trussell hired me. He was on the phones. First friend in LA. And I sent a letter to them, and I was like, and to the door guys too, to all of them, I was like, guys, this thing will take you to crazy places. I'm in Iceland. Like, there should be no reason I'm ever there. This is all after this trip me and Paul did. And it's just like a fucking wonderful thing. Whatever excuse you guys can get to go traveling. I mean, like, do it. If you're as a banker, why not work in Shanghai for a year or two? Why not go play? Like, see what affords you the ability to move and then do that. Wonton Dunn does it. He's like, I'll be the correspondent for Barstool. There's 1,000 of those. Anyway, so this is what started my love of travel, really. Then we went to Amsterdam. In between, I went skiing with my brother. Anyway, it was a great trip. Paul told me one thing that I forgot to tell you guys, that we forgot to tell you about. But first, let me just tell you his dates. Go to paulhasawebsite.com. For all of his dates. In March, he's going to be at the Venetian in Las Vegas. And then in May, he's going to be at the Tabernacle Theater in Atlanta. When am I there? March. May 17th, Rook Eckhart Hall in Clearwater. Side Splitters in Wesley Chapel, Florida. Is that Tampa? And then May 30th through 31st, Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento, California, where he's from. Go to paulhasawebsite.com for all those. Myself, I will be in a bunch of places. I will be in Providence next week. My main thing is I got a special coming out. America's Sweetheart. My first one in almost 3 years. My next one won't be for another 3 years. I don't just whip these out like well, I don't want to shit on anybody, but like, those directors that put out way too many movies. That ain't me. I poured myself into this. So please tell people about it. Set your alarms, set your calendars for January 14th. Watch it. If you got to leave, just let it run all the way through. Let it help the algorithm. Providence this coming weekend with Adrienne and I think Brendan Sagalo. Then Salt Lake City, Brea, Nashville, San Antonio, Tampa, and Denver. And then into March, Schaumburg, Illinois, Atlanta at the Tabernacle with Adrienne Iapalucci, the Dark Queen. Portland, Oregon, she's there too. Second show added. San Jose, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, and finally wrapping up with Anchorage. And then I'm going to go do what I've been talking about on this podcast. I'm going to do some traveling. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about it, but it'll keep going. This podcast will keep going. Give these guys some work to do while I'm gone. And I'll do some more remote ones. Today's episode has been produced by Your Mom's House Network. These fucking drug addicts in the other room are beautifully editing this. That was edited actually not by any of these, but by a nice man named Alan Caffey. Who can't? Anyway, that's it, you guys. Please subscribe. Tell your friends about it. My special America Sweetheart coming this week. I'm super excited. Next week on the podcast, Bert the Machine Kreischer. Finally on here. One of the guys I've wanted on for forever. He'll be on next week. Subscribe so you can get notified of that. Guys, go out and see the world. It's a fucking great place. There's literally no trip you can make that's the wrong trip. Even stuff that goes terribly. You're going to look back on and go, that was a great time. Bert Kreischer next week. Tucker Carlson the week after that. Maybe Jim Gaffigan after that. No, it's just up and up and up. If you have any suggestions for people, musicians, anybody that's been on cool trips, please suggest them in the comments on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify and YouTube, and that's it, guys. I love you all. Go out and see the world. It's amazing. Goodbye. Hasta la vista. I don't know how to say goodbye in Swiss. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. How do you say goodbye in Swiss? Hey Siri, how do you say goodbye in Swiss? You can't translate into Swiss. All right, well, fuck off. Wiedersehen? Auf Wiederlush? I love that. Auf Wiederlush. Some of these Germans I hear talking, I'm like, you guys are dorks.